So I'm 1 minute late, I believe. That's sad. I'm gonna start some music. Randomize, please. Shuffle that shit. Alright. Gotta lower the volume on here. Alright. Yes. It's here. It's here. $200 later. Do I regret it? Possibly. But will it look nice next to the book collection? Yes. My Switch is here. That is the plan. It's what the title of the video stream, whatever, says. Yes, I am opening it. But I gotta stall. Because some people aren't here. And they're gonna be like, oh, did you open it yet? Even though they see an open figure in this section here. I'm gonna lower the volume here. It's too loud for me. Alright. So, I've been trying to get some cool stuff, so here, I'll show you guys. I gotta pull up. So, I made some poster files. Some JPEGs to print out some posters, some cool anime posters, but it's copyrighted, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to print them. The reason why I'm like fine printing them is because, like, frankly, these people don't even sell like any of the posters that I want. It's not even close. And I even had to like custom make my own fucking pictures here. Alright, I'm gonna share my monitor now. There you go. There's one. And I AI enhanced it to make it for like really, really high res. And yeah, that's some pretty smooth line work here. Originally, this thing was like 3,000 by 2,000 pixels, and now it's like 4,500 by what? Something. I don't know. Hold up. I gotta take something off from this second monitor here. Okay, now I can show it again. So yeah, I want to print this. Get a 20 by 30 inch poster. So if we get out the tape measure here, that's way too big. Hold. So it's about this tall-ish, here to here-ish, right there. So, hold up, how does this look on stream? So if I put this back here, how big would it be? That's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's pretty big. Oh, 4 viewers? Oh, sick. That's way more than my Persona streams. That's fine. And then it'd be about this wide. I'm not going to go back there and measure it again. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you the second one. This is the second one. I had to customize this one. I had to like make this poster myself here. Hello. I had to make like this poster myself here. So, hold up. Let me take the chat from here. Let me take the chat from here and put it in the monitors section. Okay. Now you'll be able to... There you go. So, like, I enhanced this enough to, like, really zoom in here without losing much quality. You still lose a little bit, but, like, it's good for a poster. I think this is fine, though. So I'm getting another one, hoping to get another one that's around... Like, again, like I said, 30 inches tall, 20 inches wide. Trying to get both of those. The prints are around like $20 each, but the frames cost like... Depends if you want high quality frames. I don't, so $15 a frame. So yeah, that's the current situation. I'm not getting another figure after this for a while. I doubt it. I doubt I'm going to get another figure after this Roxy one. So yeah. Let's say we open this. Oh no. Why did this pop on when I was about to unbox it? Alright, let's just... That's my browsing YouTube tab. I got Darman recommended to me. Fresh account. Alright. How many people we got here? I think it's about time we start. Now, I lose the ability to return this after I start unboxing this. And I don't think there's any damages to be seen here. Oh, hold up. We got 2 cracks. It is not in pristine condition. It is not in pristine condition. So if I move this over, you see that there is a cut here and a cut, where is it? Here, I think. Where the fuck? Right here. There's a cut right here and a cut right here. So if I really cared about keeping the box in like mint condition, yeah, it's not like that. But I frankly don't give a shit about the box. I think this figure came in good condition. So before I open it, Bikini Roxy will be released? No. I will not be peer pressured. So I think it's good. I think it's good to open. I don't think I'm missing anything. There's a hat. There's the hat behind the head there. Staff looks fine, I think. I mean, like, you're getting some like reflections here, so like I need to analyze this before I lose my ability to return it. I don't know why there's like a brown stain on the staff, but it's fine. And the hat's there, and the other set of hair is there. All right, I think we're okay. I'm making this side of the camera fuzzy. All right. The power box on my monitor just... I'm going to wait for a good Sylphie figure. I'm waiting for like all 3 versions here. So like, and a good adult Sylphie figure, and a good adult Eris figure, and a good adult Rudeus figure. But there's yet to be an actual regular Rudeus figure, so yeah, that sucks, huh? So I'm gonna open this. Let's open this. Oh no. I'm gonna do this by hand. Like I said, I don't care about the box quality, but like if I scratch it like by myself, like it's kind of bad. And I don't have a knife, so heck, I only have scissors. Waiting for adult Eris. I'm hoping to get all 4. Hopefully I'm not broke when I get out of college, so I'm able to afford all 4. An Orsted figure would be cool too, but I think an Orsted poster would be better. Like some decent fan art, you know? My gosh, I can't open this thing to save my life. Okay. Fuck it. I'm going to destroy this box if I try doing that. Fuck. Maybe the pencil will do. Oh, a pencil works perfectly fine, actually. Holy shit. Alright, yeah. Let's use a pencil. You just have to like puncture it. You just have to puncture the tape and then like go both sides. This is not an ASMR fucking unboxing. This isn't like supposed to be really smooth because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, frankly. Alright. The box has been opened. Alright. Let's try to get this thing like actually like decent. Oh, it smells like factory plastic. I mean, it's not low quality plastic. It's pretty like fucking. It's pretty fucking strong. All right. Am I able to open this? All right. There's tape. Oh, there's tape on the bottom too. Shit. The hat fell. This is scuffed. This is really scuffed. I'm sorry. I imagine it's fine to take out now. Okay. Whew. Finally. It's actually for the second set of characters. Alright. Hat. It's Roxy's hat. What am I supposed to do with it? It's like, oh, look, close up, guys. Oh, look, it's a hat. Oh shit. Oh shit, man. Oh shit, bro. It's a hat. I don't think it focuses, but whatever. It's a hat, bro. Look at it. It's a hat. I'm gonna put that there. I just want you guys to get a good idea of like if you bought this, like what it would actually like look like. I am confused as to how this comes off, but there's like a stone thing inside that shit. Like, I don't know. It's a... Okay, I'm not gonna bother trying to play with it until like I figure this whole thing out. Okay. And I think that was it from here. Yeah, I think that was it. This ain't stuck. You have to like open another layer or something. I am truly a monkey. Holy shit. Alright. Oh shit, there's tape at the top too. I'm gonna do the other side. This is nerve-wracking. I'm gonna do it on the pillow. I'm gonna do it on like some my bed or something. Don't care about the cut box. Cuts really everything with surgical precision. Yeah. All right. Does it fall apart if I just try to open it straight up? Yeah. If I did that on a table, it would have been rip rocked. 100%. All right. Okay. Let me try to remove the wrapping here real quick. I almost dropped the head. I decapitated Roxy. Wonderful. I decapitated Roxy, guys. Big Sag. Ah, I see. So there's supposed to be a face in front of this. You put the face on in front of this. I think the hair, the back of the hair is attached to the stone here, but anyway. Here's Roxy. Here's Roxy. I'm going to try to shine a light. Like, how good can I get the light? Yep. You can clearly see it, right, guys? You can clearly see it right there. Yep. Ah! Do you want a Fitz figure or lawn hair selfie? Honestly, Fitz. But anyway, yep, there's Roxy. So let's get her on the... Let's get her on the stand here. Now I noticed that this is way different from the stand that they advertise like in every single image of this figure. This is way different and it's way cooler, but yeah. Okay, so the heel goes in. That's actually really smooth. Shit, dude. Alright, stands in. Did I already ruin it? Bro. How does it just go through like that? I already ruined it, bro. The sticks are like already dead, bro. No. How did that happen? What the fuck? I need a hammer. Oh my gosh. It literally... Bro, this man destroyed it already. I know! Bro, what the fuck? Bro! I took my sweet ass time with the box and I did the actual figure. Oh my gosh. I need a hammer. I need a hammer. Hold up. Change the feet? No. I need a hammer. I need something to flatten this out. See, this was supposed to be protected by plastic. All right, these things are sticking out, bro. I swear, I can't win. All right, 10. Let's hammer this thing. I fucking hell. Alright. I got it. It took a little bit of pressure, but I need to put this on as carefully as I can here. It's fixed, don't worry.
Don't worry, guys, it's fixed.
Oh my gosh. Fucking thing. Alright. Bro, it's impossible to keep this thing. Alright. That's good enough. The rest of it came in really smoothly, but this just didn't. Have you seen the volume 26 cover? I have. Maybe the right was position. I don't know what you mean by that. All right, it's in. I have a feeling if I try to take this off of it, these legs are gonna stick to this fucking thing. I have a feeling there's a chance that actually happens. And I really don't want it to happen, but I'm not going to take that chance. All right, now it stays on with no friction at all. It stands. Indeed it does. got the staff. Pigtails. What the hell is the difference between this hair and the last one? This one's sleepier, I guess. I don't know. I'm not gonna use it. Alright. Alright.
That's one.
How is he supposed to be real? I don't even know. It's not even that far, like, it doesn't even give me that much room. Like, hold up. Let's try putting it in this. Okay, so it does fit. One's in. There you go. Got both of them in. Now. How the fuck do I put this in? I open a figure and I'm just confused. Is this the one with the removable robe? Yes, it is. Hold up, I need to read the instructions. All right. So this thing is detachable. Ah. It's weird. Very strange because, like, all right, so it says here that right here that like the whole thing goes through the hand, and I'm like, it doesn't fit. Like, what the fuck? Boy! This thing doesn't fit. Firmly grasp it. Dismount the staff. Dude, it's dismounted. This, and like it's hardly noticeable, but like this isn't all the way in. It's hardly noticeable, but it's like bothersome. Well, then this thing's blocking it now. Attach E in order shown. 1 and then 2. What the fuck? This thing doesn't want to go attached though. Drill it. Fuck you. Do I have to? That would make no sense. Yeah, I don't take off the robe. How's the figure supposed to hold it? It looks like you wedge it in somehow. Yeah. But part of me doesn't want to break the fucking figure, and this thing's so fucking like. It's like barely holding on. Barely, dude. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. It's like barely holding on. I can't get it through. Like this end fits. Like I can get this thing to fit. This thing fits. That's not how it's supposed to go. Because this thing's supposed to attach to the back of the robe here. You guys are probably lost patience with me. We will not start Redundancy again until I figure this shit out. I saw a message get retracted. Gosh dang it. Gotta get it for the beat drop, come on. The staff is 2 parts only? Yes. Yes. 2 parts. 2 parts. D, and E. D and E. That's it. I almost have it though. There you go. We did it. Success! Got through. Let's go. Let's go. And then, last but not least, the hat. What a fucking song! As soon as I finished it. No. The fucking song! The fucking song! Holy shit! This is like, I love you. Oh no! As soon as I showed it up. No! You can't do this to me. I'm a Selfie fan through and through. You can't do this to me. Hell, anyway. Fucking hell, you got the fucking... Here it is. Perfect timing. You love Roxy. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want that propaganda going around. Anyway, here we go. I'm not detaching this thing because I'm way too scared. But here we go. Let's go up here. So we have. We'll go through step one through whatever here. All right. Oh, wrong side. There you go. All right. 1, 2. I need to put this on a fucking different one. Focus. I said focus. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you got 5. You take it off. And there's a third arm. And then, fucking hell. Then there you go. And then 9. I'm not messed up though, so I'm not actually gonna do this. There you go. You got your fucking. There's your fan service, you fucking weirdos. Buy it if you want to disassemble it, but this is all you're gonna see right here. This right here is all you're gonna see. You have to be pretty fucking forceful with the staff, not gonna lie. That staff is fucking weird. I feel like FBI's at my door because he showed that. Yeah, I know. And you get the occasional... Okay, there you go. That's all you get, you horny bastards. I'm going to keep on hold. Keep this on hold in case this staff falls off again. Or I need to change the hair or something. Alright, now this is a fucking mess. There's plastic all over the place. Okay. Hold up. I swear these pegs are gonna slide right into this figure if I take this foot off. I swear that's gonna happen. I swear that's gonna happen. One of these legs is deep, and it's not, and I know it's no longer really attached to the, it's no longer attached to like the actual like stand itself. Actually, wait, there's a bit of the gap. So if I let gravity take its course, it'll eventually let it go. I can get some pliers too and take it out if I really wanted to. So it's not firmly wedged in there, but it's pretty damn close. I need to glue those. I need to like do something like put some tape on the bottom or something to like keep those things stuck in. I'm not 100% sure on how I'm going to do that. I think, yeah. I think they forgot I was listening to music. That's what she said. There's your wall of plastic. For this little... For this little fucking thing right here. Okay, it's not gonna fall. See, this is why I needed this staff to like be fully wedged in. Otherwise, this top part would fall off. Wondering where the fucking towel was. I was like, damn, where's the fuck's the towel? And here you go. Here's a little piece of cloth that you get for the fucking other version. Alright, so you're all here for one thing and one thing only. You're all here for one thing and one thing only. After many years of me postponing Mushoku Tensei content and just uploading Chainsaw Man forever now, I'm finally back with some more Redundancy. That's multiverse. I don't even know anymore. I don't even know what you're trying to say anymore. Anyway, so with all that said, we have, so what did we finish off last? So if we looked back here, wrong fucking tab. If we looked back here, Cheddar Man. That's where we left off. Cheddar Man broke me. Cheddar Man made me not want to read Mushoku Tensei anymore. And Redundancy is garbage. Alright? I'm going to call it like it is right now. Redundancy is a waste of time. So if you ever want to like skip any part of Mushoku Tensei and get straight into some other stuff, then I recommend skip the entirety of Redundancy. Because even the Orsted chapter, honestly, frankly, is fucking mid. There, I said it. All right? So, am I enjoying this? You better redeem this fucking shit. Because Green Silatrea House, their vacation better be top tier slice of life. Otherwise, this thing is fucking mid. Redundancy is fucking mid. So anyone who is hyping this up, frankly, you are blind as a Mushoku Tensei fan. You are frankly blind. There's my rant. Jeez, how long ago was my last stream? How long ago was my last stream? Because you could tell how much I am no longer interested in Mushoku Tensei anymore after reading that last chapter. That thing made me quit for how long? Fucking since the very beginning of the semester, since late August. So how many months was that? 3? 3. I'm not gonna lie, the previous chapters were boring. Dude, just say it like it is. People were hyping up the Orsted chapter like it was like the next big chapter for me to read. I was like, oh shit, Orsted? We get to know more about his backstory? No, we do not. Instead, we get some. I don't even remember what happened, frankly. What the fuck happened? I'm not even gonna go back. The Orsted chapters were underwhelming, so much so that I barely remember what the fuck happened. So, there you go. I'm pretty sure we didn't get that much on his backstory. I'm pretty sure. So, I looked ahead as to what the next the next few stories are gonna be. I heard about the Aisha chapter. We are reading that. So we also have the Nanahoshi story, which I am interested in. That could be very good. But then again, the Orsted chapter sounded like it was going to be crazy, but frankly, it wasn't. Then what else? What? Did we have like one of Rudius's children or something gets a story? Sieg and Lily? I don't even know. Anyway, let's fucking read this thing.
Part 1. I thought we should go for a family vacation. The children are steadily growing up. Lucy has grown accustomed to the magic university. Laura doesn't really like to study, but she's still plenty energetic.
Right.
Ours is somewhat wild like Eris, but he's quite diligent in what he does, and he's not one to pick on those smaller than him, so he should be fine. Sieg is still quite small and he's still a crybaby, but since he started being trained by a certain someone, he's gotten somewhat stronger. Lily and Chris are still young, but they've recently graduated from breast milk and have begun their education. There's not yet a 7th, but the 6 of them are still young children. Every day is lively and the problems never stop. That said, Laura and Ars have begun to go to school, and Sieg and Lily have begun to walk, so after all of them began their studies, things have quieted down somewhat. There's no signs that Hitagami might be plotting something. The truly peaceful days have continued. So that might be why. Why I thought that it might be time to show the children the world outside of the Magic City Sharia. I wonder why I suddenly thought that. Page 286-580. Maybe because that night was particularly lively. Lucy was keeping to herself. I forgot about
these page
Laura
things.
was playing with her food.
Swear.
Ars was being picky. Sieg was stuffing his cheeks.
It's so scuffed.
Lily was feebly sipping her soup while dirtying her bib.
I don't know how you guys are
and
watching
Chris was on my lap with her mouth open wide waiting for her next bite of food.
How many
as well as 3 wives,
there are.
1 little sister and 2 mothers. It was lively dinner table.
It's keeping me intrigued, frankly. It's still... I forgot, man. It's been a while since I've read this, and I forgot. There's like blank spots, too. The page stuff is... It's annoying. I remember now. That page stuff was annoying. But it's kept me through this entire thing. Actually, no, wait. I don't think that was there before Redundancy. That might have been another factor as to why I didn't enjoy Redundancy that much, because it wasn't as smooth of a translation.
But it's not just dinner time. Lately the house is always lively. But that's a given. With 6 children, there's no way it wouldn't be.
Maybe.
Ars and Laura are rascals that love to cause trouble. Lily and Chris, maybe because they're the same age, often get into loud fights. Lucy has it together and Sieg is rather docile, but that doesn't mean they're always quiet. The noise never dies down. So that's when I thought. As long as we have the chance. I have no idea what will happen when the children grow up. I might be somewhere fighting someone with Orsted, or some of them might have left Sharia. When they get older, they'll be going to school in the Azure Empire for 3 years, so they might settle down there. Or they might even decide to leave the house by themselves before that. Paul also fought with his father and left. Something similar might happen to me. Hitagami also has it in for me, so there are plenty of times that he could interfere. Page 287-580. But children never do exactly as they're told. Lara doesn't like studying or training, so she often runs away. But that's fine. In any case, that's what I thought. That the children won't all be together forever. That's why we should take a family vacation while we can. Page 288-580. Part 2. Of course, it's not as if we'll be circumnavigating the world. For about a month we'll visit some people we haven't seen in a while and show the kids something different. Nothing too adventurous. So with that said, the destination is the Militis continent. The plan is as follows. First we use the teleport magic formation to transfer to the Holy Militis Kingdom. There we'll stay there for about 10 days. The first half will be with Zenith's parents and Cliff and the church. After that is a field trip to the Adventurers Guild HQ, the Magic Tower, and other places the city is famous for. Next is a trip by carriage along the Holy Sword Highway for a quick stop off at the Great Forest. Then a visit to the hot springs in the Azure Dragon Mountain Range. And finally we return home via the teleport circle around there. And while we're there I'll make contact with the Or God that I had put off meeting up till now. Eris's job in the house was taking Leo and the children.
I'm gonna stop this. Where the fuck are we? Bro, what the fuck? I was gonna deliver some bad news, but the day the wall dot walked. Bro, what happened, bro? We're so far back. Holy shit. Alright. I gotta go back. I gotta watch my own stream here real quick. Give me a sec. Where was I? Page 286. Jeezo. 28. Bro, I clicked a random part of the screen and it decided to fuck itself, dude. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I was gonna deliver some bad news, so here it is. This fucking peg here is stuck into the foot, just like I predicted. One isn't, but the other one definitely is. So it's kind of stuck, but it's sticking out a little bit. And the good thing is that you're not gonna, there's no like two legs or anything like that, so it's fine, I guess. It's not the end of the world for this figure, but it's like, so I'll show you. If I show you, it's just gonna go right up the skirt. So I'm just gonna like, there's like two pegs here. There's two pegs for this bottom foot here. All right, we got right here. We got this one, which is a little bit out, and this one. Actually, no, this one's a little bit more out. This one in the front right here is stuck in, which sucks, by the way. It sucks. So, yeah. What is this? This base is made in China. Yeah, whatever. The base. Overall, the figure is well constructed. I know this isn't a fake, so. Yes, that's no good. Yeah, true. It really isn't. That really sucks. So if any of you were cringing as I was unboxing that, well, I'm gonna
Page 286-580. Maybe because, as well as 3 wives, 1 little sister and 2 mothers. It was lively dinner table. But it's not just dinner time. Lately the house is always lively.
Yeah, the base is based.
With 6 children there's no way it wouldn't be. Ours and Lara are rascals that love to cause trouble. Lily and Chris, maybe because they're the same age, often get into loud fights. Lucy has it together and Sieg is rather docile, but that doesn't mean they're always quiet. The noise never dies down. So that's when I thought. As long as we have the chance. I have no idea what will happen when the children grow up. I might be somewhere fighting someone with Orsted, or some of them might have left Sharia. When they get older, they'll be going to school in the Azure Empire for 3 years, so they might settle down there. Or they might even decide to leave the house by themselves before that. Paul also fought with his father and left. Something similar might happen to me. Hitagami also has it in for me, so there are plenty of times that he could interfere. Page 287-580. But children never do exactly as they're told.
People.
Lara doesn't like studying or training, so she often runs away. But that's fine. In any case, that's what I thought. That the children won't all be together forever. That's why we should take a family vacation while we can. Page 288-580. Part 2. Of course, it's not as if we'll be circumnavigating the world. For about a month we'll visit some people we haven't seen in a while and show the kids something different. Nothing too adventurous. So with that said, the destination is the Militis continent. The plan is as follows. First we use the teleport magic formation to transfer to the Holy Militis Kingdom. There we'll stay there for about 10
Casually
days.
use teleportation.
The first half will be with Zenith's parents and Cliff and the church. After that is a field trip to the Adventurers Guild HQ, the Magic Tower, and other places the city is famous for. Next is a trip by carriage along the Holy Sword Highway for a quick stop off at the Great Forest. Then a visit to the hot springs in the Azure Dragon Mountain Range. And finally we return home via the teleport circle around there. And while we're there, I'll
I'm
make
not
contact with
making
the organ
fun
that I
of
had put
you.
off meeting up till now.
I'm
It
saying
should go
that
something
you're
like that.
asserting authority
We've already
here,
discussed it as a
okay?
family and have been planning for half a year. Roxy has her job as a teacher after all, and I had to
What's
consult
up,
Worsted as the company
bitches?
president. The kids also
What's
have their
up,
studies,
people?
everyone has plans. That said, the entire family had agreed. Lucy especially, she may have gotten the
Homies.
idea when we visited the Azure Empire before, when she heard that we're going on a trip she was really excited. Page 289-580. I already asked Ellen Elise if she wanted to come along and she made her feelings rather apparent. She was quite happy to have an excuse.
You were effective
She goes to see
in
Cliff a
being
number of
cool,
times throughout the year, but she would much rather be with him
but
all the
I
time.
had to ruin it.
Cliff also wants to move up the ranks faster so he can bring Ellen Elise and Clive to him, but the Militis Church's power
Yeah.
struggle seemed like quite the ordeal. And since we're going to be visiting the Latria house, Zenith and Lilia are coming too. I'd like to have the Maiko tell me what she's been thinking again. Lara can apparently converse with her, but she doesn't talk about it all that much. Whenever I ask her, she just looks like it's a pain. At her age she might not understand the importance. Leaving Lara aside, although it may be personal business, the Maiko and Pope are Militis officials, so I did make appointments to meet with them, so there's a good chance I'll be able to see her. This time I've also asked Norn to come. I promised Claire I would last time after all. No, I don't think I promised. In any case, I decided it would be better to take her along while she's still in the happy aftermath of her marriage. And I've already conveyed the fact that she's married. No matter who the recipient is, my words will not waver. Including the fact that he's from a magic race. I still haven't gotten a response. She might be mad. She might just be pretending she didn't hear. But, it's probably a matter of race. At first Norn refused on the grounds that her child was still young. Maybe because spur children mature fast, but Norn's daughter Lucia was already off breast milk and had all her teeth. Her hair is green like her father and she's just started taking steps swinging around her cute tail, but she had yet to open her eye. Page 295-180.
It's official, Norn's
But
a
Rudyard said
mom
something to
now.
her. I'll look after Lucia. You should go. But you have to treasure your family. And so Norn listened to those words heavy with emotion. It seemed like Rudyard wanted to go himself. Although I am somewhat oblivious to human customs, a greeting is at least necessary. He said. But bringing along both a baby and a spurred along on a month-long trip would be a little difficult. Although we could put a hat on them like Sieg, we can't hide the tail, and it's not just the green hair, but a real spurred. There's no way we wouldn't create a ruckus wherever we went. And there's also Rudyard's assignment from the Behilil Kingdom. And so, although he was somewhat downtrodden, he sent Norn off. I understand. But I'm only going to greet them. I won't be going to the hot springs, I'll be returning home. You don't have to leave, just take your time. I want to be together with Rudyard-san and Lucia. And so, Norn, while bragging as such, agreed to come along. I've left Zanoba and a few members of the mercenary corps to house Sid. Beat and Jiro are home, but just in case. I'd be troubled if we got robbed, and there's also the care of the vegetable garden. So that's what our travel plans look like. It's somewhat roundabout, but sticking to a strict schedule isn't as fun. About this much is perfect. Page 291-580. Part 3. It's been half a year since then. It's snowing as always in Magic City, Sharia. We called a carriage and we're now riding through the snow-laden city towards the office. After giving our greetings to Orsted, we went through the teleport formation to Milishan. The other end of the teleport circle comes out in a secret hideout in Milishan. And all of a sudden we're in the Militis continent. I never strongly felt like I wanted to take a trip. But since it was possible, I would have liked to take a formation leading to outside the city so we could see it from there. Witnessing the gargantuan towers, the excitement of walking through the massive ramparts, it's something that has to be experienced. That said, when we go outside to sightsee, we'll be able to do that then. There's no rush. After getting on the carriage I had prepared there earlier, we headed straight towards the Latria house. We have 14 people, 15 including me. Taking that into account, I prepared 2 large carriages. The first is me, Roxy, Zenith, Lilia, Lara, Chris and Leo. The second is Sylphie, Eris, Lucy, Ars, Sieg, Lily, Aisha and Norn.
All right.
We had already bid Ellen Elise and Clive a temporary
We
farewell.
got our rosters here. All right, let's examine each one. All right. All right, so which group would you want to be a part of? Group 1 or Group 2? Okay, so Group 1, we got Rudius, Roxy, Zenith, Lilia, Laura, Chris, and Leo. So far, that one was carried by Rudius and Roxy. The rest, not great. Second, Sylphie, big one. Eris, okay. Lucy, Ars, Sieg, Lily, Aisha, fuck no. And Norn, All All right. So would you rather be with Rudius and Roxy or Sylphie, Eris, and others? Group 2, no question, because of Sylphie and because Eris is strong. It we're not talking about like how strong these groups are, okay? We're talking about which one would you want to be on the vacation with? Which group would you want to be a part of? And Rudius and Roxy is Zenith with Lilia. Sounds like a burden, not gonna lie. I mean, like Zenith isn't gonna add anything to like a conversation, obviously. So I don't know about that. The best wife goes with him. You know what? I'll leave that to the viewers to berate you. Okay. Leo, no. Chris, no. Lara, no. So yeah, it's basically just Rudius and Roxy are the only two real like people to consider here. I thought for sure that like since they don't want to Superd with them or anything like that, they're not bringing Rudyard. If Rudyard was there in the second group, that would have been like a no-brainer, no question. I'd go with group 2. But I still think I am going to go with group 2 because Eris and Sylphie has a fun dynamic, and I think Roxy is probably the most boring out of all 3 wives. So that is my opinion. All right, let's go.
And the 2 headed straight for Cliff. The kids were quite excited to be traveling for the first time.
Wait, hold up. I think there are more kids in group 1. There are more kids in group 2, sorry. That sucks. You could speak, Leia, you know. You're the one with the statue? Okay, listen here, all right? This statue is going to be one of 4 that I will get, okay? There will be the Roxy one. Got one. 1 of 4. The Sylphie one, which will be coming out probably next season. The Eris one, which will probably come out in season 3. And yes, adult versions of all of these, please. And the Rudius one, which I honestly don't know if I'd want to wait for like season 3 Rudius or season 2 Rudius. Honestly, probably season 3, but I don't know. But you would have to deal with the kids. Yeah, I know. Roxy, it's your first one still because she's the only. It's the only design that will hold up for the rest of the series, okay? The rest are kids. Are you seriously telling me that you want me to get this fucking shit? Hold up. Are you seriously telling me that you want me to pick up this figure and have no questions asked at all? Hold up. This You're telling me that that no one's gonna throw up any red flags at all that I have this figure. No red flags at all. Really? Like, I'm just kidding, lol. I'm doing this bit here, okay? Adult versions would be better overall. They have cooler designs. That is a fact. That is not even like an opinion. That's just a straight up fact, okay? And then you have what other ones? Like, okay, you have this this one's made by the same company that did the Roxy figure that I just got. And to be honest, it's pretty good, but it's still kid version of Eris. And I don't want that. And people were saying like, "Hey, man, I'm nervous of there not being a single Rudius figure out there in the market." And because we all saw what happened to Subaru from ReZero. Subaru does not have a single fucking figure. He has one on Patrash with Rem, and it's a very small version of him. So that's all we get? We only get the female characters? What? Seriously, like, you want a Garfield figure from ReZero? Fuck you. You want a Roswell figure from ReZero? Fuck you. It's all the female characters. Even Petra, fucking Petra, gets a figure and Subaru doesn't. I am hoping that it's not the case with this, because all I see are weird female figures with the exception of the one I just got. With the exception of the Roxy figure. The rest of them are weird. The rest of them, if you have in your collection, is just flat out weird. Like maybe the Nendoroid, but I don't want the Nendoroid. That's like the only one that would hold up. Other than the Roxy ones. Other than that, you're buying the figures for you or for what people will think of you. Buying the figures for myself, and also I don't like it's kind of both, but like people aren't gonna be looking at my figure collection, so I don't frankly care about the figure collection, to be honest with you. But it's also for myself, because if I look at my figure collection and I see my most expensive figure being this child, that's fucking weird, okay? And not even just for other people looking at it. That's for me. For me, that is flat out weird. So you have Aaron Yeager. You have Roxy. I have a Levi figure back there, and I have a Megumin figure back there. Kind of regretting the Megumin one because the staff doesn't stay in her hand anymore, and it's bad. Anyway, that's my collection. And then you add the Sylphiette figure. No. Just no. Okay? That's it. That's it. All right? The rest, if any of you get any of these, okay. Whether you're on the stream live or you're watching this in a VOD, if any of you get one of these figures, I will knock your door down and fucking blast you with the fucking, what was it? The bonk? The like the wooden bat thing that the Doge, like, I will slap the shit out of you with that. All right? This entire community will bonk you for doing that, all right? And it's not just because they're ecchi figures. It's because, okay, you could possibly get away with the Roxy figure. Possibly. But it's not even up for debate with the Eris figure. She wasn't isekai'd. She wasn't anything. It's a child, and you got that figure. Same goes for the beach clothes, okay? She's a child. If you get that figure, there's something fucking wrong with you, okay? I'm smiling because I find it absurd that anyone would actually buy that. And if you actually do, holy shit, what the fuck is wrong with you? That has to be either one, a gag gift, or two, you will throw it in the fire because you hate Eris so much. Those are the only two fucking... There's the only two reasons I could see being fine with purchasing this figure. But it's $205, so I don't know what the fuck you're doing with that. Anyway, what the fuck am I doing? Let's just keep reading.
Time for their mothers to calm them down. Lara seemed especially excited by the Militian scenery. It was rather surprising considering her usually unimpressed demeanor. Page 292-580. Lara, don't...
Fitz is a man, lol. Okay. Alright, dude. Listen to me here. It may be weird, champ. Because I'm straight, and Fitz may be doing some weird things to me. But get the facts straight. Alright? That's a girl. Alright? There's no fucking debate for it. That's a girl. All right. Also, it's mainly because of story. Because I personally find the university arc to be one of my favorites, to be honest. Volumes 8 through 9, volumes 8 and 9 are some of my favorite volumes in the entire series. Nah, you crazy. Fair. Fair. Yeah. Fitz is turning me crazy. Yep. Fair. Fair.
Lean out the window. Okay.
Fitz,
Every now and then she'll
Fitz
start
is
leaning
making
forwards before
Fitz
Roxy tells
is
her to sit
making
back
me
down.
weird, man.
But she still places her head out the window to look around.
Fitz
I'm worried
is
that she'll suddenly
Fitz
fall
is
out,
turning me
but Leo is
into
holding onto her
something
clothes, so she should be fine.
that's
Mama, when we get
someone
closer,
that's
there are
just
colors everywhere.
into guys, I
Militis
guess.
is home
I
to
don't
many
know.
famous designers and they create
Fitz
many
is
kinds
turning
of
me
clothes
gay.
aimed towards commoners. Everybody here likes to dress up.
Fucking
Even
hell.
though it's winter, there's no snow. It's not
Sure.
even cold.
Sure.
Around here,
I don't
snow
fucking
doesn't
know.
fall that often. And when the season comes around, it rains heavily.
If that's my
But that
excuse
huge
to
tower
get a
keeps it
Fitz
at a fixed
figure,
level
then
so the city
fine,
never
so
floods.
be it.
Hearing
I'm
Roxy
getting
explain
this
things to
Fitz
Laura like
figure.
that is quite calming. Seeing the two like this just emphasizes their resemblance. She's almost like a mini Roxy. Papa, I'm hungry. Chris is always happy on my lap. It's just, maybe because she's scared of the outside, or she doesn't like the shaking of the carriage, she's been gripping my sleeve the whole time. But if I pull it off, she'll probably start crying. We'll eat at great-grandmother's house, so just wait till then, okay? Okay. My words go over smoothly with Chris. Were it one of her mothers who said so, she would most likely have thrown a tantrum saying she wanted to eat right now. Page 293 580. Sylvie and the others might not like it, but when Chris is around it gives me a sense of superiority. But when she grabs my hand like that and rubs it on her stomach, it makes me want to go buy her something. Hey, you, stall keep over there. Give me your most delicious apple, huh? You don't know which one is the most delicious? Then I guess I'll take them all. Don't worry. Whatever's left will be a gift to the Latria house. Now I kinda want to say it. Oh right, I brought a bunch of greeting gifts for the Latria house, but I wonder if Claire will like any. She won't say something like I don't want such low-class filth in my house, right? She wouldn't be so rude as to say it, right? While thinking that, I suddenly noticed that Lilia looked rather stiff. Lilia-san, what's the matter? I'm feeling somewhat uneasy. About what? Claire-sama. There's one major obstacle to overcome on this trip. My grandmother, Claire Latria. That obstinate grandmother, when she heard that we'd be staying in Militis, immediately offered to house us. I'm glad I haven't replied. Just giving a greeting and not staying at the house was also an option. When I think about the way she treated Norn, Aisha, and Lilia in the past, it makes me uneasy. But I'm not outright against the old lady's suggestion. Claire has one fatal weakness, that's my adorable children. I don't think it would be impossible to spend a few days quietly. So that said, first we should just go check it out and say hello. Page 294 580. And if it seems like it won't work, we can just go stay at an inn. We came to this conclusion at a family meeting. Even so, Lilia was still called all kinds of things last time she was here. So it's not unusual thinking that she might hear it again would make her uneasy. Claire-san may say those kinds of things, but she is thinking of us. Her thinking may
Don't
be
go
somewhat
near
inflexible though.
Claire,
But if it comes down to it,
please.
you can
She's
always just stay behind me.
cringe.
No, it's not about me.
Claire's
Lilia's gaze moves towards Roxy and Lara. Right this time, Roxy and Lara, in other words, magic race descendants, are coming. And Norn also married someone from a magic race. And I've also brought all three of my wives this time. And Claire is an adherent Militis believer from the demon expulsion faction. She had previously said that she wouldn't interfere, but that was years ago. People tend to forget small promises over time.
You're funny.
Of course, Roxy has already taken that into consideration. During the family meeting she had said there's no problem. Lara and Lily may have a somewhat hard time with it, but they already know to some extent that demons living among humans get that kind of treatment. Is what she said. Norn is also prepared for anything she might say. I'm not worried about any name calling there might be, but I'm scared that if she says something that upsets Lara that she'll do something weird. I'm scared of her pranks. Her victims have no limits. It will be fine, Lilia-san. Page 295 580.
Okay. I also have to say something right now. So for any of you that watched the unboxing of, I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the stream. For any of you, okay, I'm gonna change the perspective here. For any of you that watched this stream, that was watching the stream for the unboxing and is an anime only or have not watched the series, if you haven't left by now, you should, because this contains massive spoilers for the fucking anime. I know I should have done this earlier, but I have to say it now, if at all. Oh my gosh, I should have said this before. Don't stay here anymore if you're an anime only. Don't. No, bad. Go read the light novel, you fucking weirdo. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. Hear me out. You need a Claire figurine. I'm not gonna get a figurine of every single character in Mushoku Tensei. Okay, I'll go broke by that time. Okay. Fucking hell, Ron fucking tab. Ugh, jeez, oh. Get that shit out of here. You know what?
Roxy said
You
that.
know what? Fucking
If it's
close
not,
that tab.
then we just won't go in at all.
Holy
Is
shit.
that the case? I also have my doubts. It's not that I
There
don't
you
trust
go.
Claire. She did invite us after all. I think inviting us over just to insult us would be against noble etiquette. Although I don't know what kind of etiquette they follow in Militis. But I still don't think they'd invite us over from such a long distance away just to kick us out. It's just that, although it goes against common sense, you don't know what someone might do when something they don't like is right in front of them. Zenith grabbed Lilia's hand. She didn't say anything, but the meaning was conveyed. I tapped on Lara's shoulder. Oh Bachan, what was that? Lara looked at me like it was a bother and then at Zenith, and then back at me and said. Great-grandmother just worries a lot, it'll be fine, she says. Thanks. For once she actually passed on the message. Well, if that's what Zenith says, then surely it will be fine. Page 296-580. Part 4. The reception at the manor was welcoming. The maid was full of smiles and the butler was polite. At the very least it was more welcoming than the reception I received last time I came to Militis. After they took our bags we were guided to Claire's room. I thank you for the long journey. Once Claire saw us, she said that still seated. Still seated. Though I won't say her attitude was poor. She's the master of the house after all. Not at all, we only just left. Of course. Though I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around it. Claire pressed her fingers against her temples and looked like she wanted to say something, but she decided against it. It was probably the fact that I use teleportation magic as if I own it. I'll introduce my family. Yes. As you see fit. They all line up. The children, 3 wives, and Norn and Aisha. Today Aisha isn't in the maid outfit, but a lovely dress. At first glance, she could be mistaken for the eldest daughter. Lilia is the same, but she already moved with Zenith to another room. Mary? Yes, madam. Page 297-580. Claire gave the order to the maid beside her and put out her hand. The maid took hold of her hand and slowly helped her to her feet, then handed her her walking stick. She looked rather fragile leaning on her walking stick. She had none of the fortitude she had previously. It seems the reason she didn't stand when we walked in wasn't her pride. Are you unwell? I'm getting old after all. You couldn't possibly be so old that your legs would weaken to such an extent. She's might be old enough to be called great-grandmother, but both I and my kids were all born quite early. I wouldn't go out of my way to ask her age, but since Zenith is about 40, she should be around 60, 70 at most. Would you like me to attempt healing magic? No need. You're an outstanding magician, but this is Militis and I am a noble. Meaning that this is something that can't be healed with healing magic. Well, if she says it's fine then I won't press it, but I'm somewhat uneasy seeing her like this. Rather than your concern, I'd like continue with the introductions. That's true. Well then I guess I should start. First is Sylphie, Roxy and Eris. The 3 wives. This is Sylphie. The first wife I married. The house is normally left under her supervision. I'm Sylphie. I thank you for today's invitation. I look forward to staying with you. As expected of Sylphie, you can see the elegance from her experience with greetings. Page 298-580. Nobody would ever guess that she grew up in the Fido countryside. This is Roxy. She is from the Meathered race, a magic race, and although she looks
She doesn't deserve
she's
it.
older than me. She's currently a teacher at the Magic University. I'm Roxy.
I don't care
I'm
what
sure
her
you have some
intention
thoughts
was.
about my race, but still, I look forward to staying with you these next few days. When I introduced Roxy
fucking
as a Meathered,
cringe.
Claire didn't even flinch. This is the first time they've met, but she did already know about it. I guess she doesn't plan to comment on it for now. This is Eris. A master of the Sword God School. She is a member of the great Asuran noble family Boreas and the little sister of the current head. I am Eris. It's nice to meet you. Eris is somewhat flustered. At the Asuran parties she's always calm, but it seems my grandmother makes her nervous. Claire doesn't say anything. She doesn't seem to be planning to scold me for having 3 wives. Next is the children. This is the eldest daughter Lucy. I'm Lucy Grere. Great-grandmother, it is excellent to finally meet you. I am pleased to be staying with you for these next few days. Lucy gives greeting while gripping the edge of her skirt. Claire's face slackens a little. Even though she's strict with her grandchildren, she can't help but find her great-grandchildren cute. The second daughter Lara. Page 299-580. I'm Lara.
Yes,
Lara gives a bored greeting and her face says that it's a pain.
Page 299.
Claire's eyebrows knit back up. It seems it has nothing to do with the fact that they're her great-grandchildren. He's the eldest son ours. I'm ours. I'll be 8 years old soon. Pleased to meet you. That said, the only unsociable one is Lara. The rest of them are all polite and Claire doesn't seem to have any complaints. After ours, Sieg, Lily, and Chris all gave their greeting normally. You two next. After I prompt them, Norn and Aisha step forward. Together they gave what you could call an elegant bow. Norn and of course Aisha. I'm Nornspertia. It's been quite a while, grandmother. I'm Aisha. I thank you for the invitation today. They both give greetings you couldn't offer complaints about. Claire, still leaning on her cane, pointed her chin at the two. Yes, it's been quite a while, the two of you. Just that. She didn't ask anything about the fact that Norn was married. Maybe she thought it would be better not to ask here.
No,
In any
it's
case,
probably
there
that
hasn't
she
been a
didn't
negative
pick
atmosphere
up
just
on it
yet.
because she's so
Most likely
fucking
because of the
old.
fluent greetings.
Old.
Good.
Old.
Lara is picking her nose. I'll have
Old.
to tell her off for that later. Page 300-580.
But she is cringe.
This is Claire Latria. She's your great-grandmother. We'll be staying with her for around 10 days, so be polite. After I say that, Claire gives a slight bow. It's filled with elegance as always. I'd love for the children to learn from her. I am Claire. I am here to welcome you in place of the manners master. Please instruct the maids and butlers as you wish. You might find the difference in culture somewhat unpleasant, but please treat this house as if it was your own. I thank you for your kindness. Everyone give your thanks. Thank you very much. We look forward to staying with you. The children all bowed at once and Claire sat back down quite pleased. Good work. And so, our family vacation in Militis began. Page 301 580.
301,
Part 5.
580.
Rudia-san, I have something I wish to talk to you about. Do you think you could remain behind? Is what I thought, but right as I was about to leave the room, I was called for. I told the rest of the family to go on without me and stayed back. Claire's expression was, well, normal. She didn't seem mad. Please sit. If you'll excuse me. I sat down in the chair in front of her as told. And as if there was some kind of switch in the chair, someone came out with tea. They didn't bring out tea for my family, but I guess we weren't sitting down. There weren't enough seats after all. There's no need to be so punctilious. I have no intentions of reprimanding you. It seems I've been seen though. But considering how she was before, I hope she'll overlook me being somewhat wary. Then what do you wish to talk about? Simply idle conversation. I stole a look at her face. There was nothing behind her expression and she simply sipped her tea. The way she drank was captivating. There's probably some etiquette behind the way she drinks her tea. I drank too while trying to mimic it. Page 302 580. They've used some good tea leaves. Speaking of tea. Lately Aisha has started raising a tea plant. I brought a bag of the leaves with me, you should try it. Then we shall do that tomorrow. They're quite nice. Aisha frequently changes what she's growing. At one point she was growing some kind of herb, she even cooked with it, but she suddenly stopped. I wonder why. Ah, right. Chris was allergic to it, wasn't she? When the herb started to become fragrant, her nose would start dripping. Although healing magic could fix the symptoms, it couldn't get rid of the allergy itself. Is Aisha still not married? That seems to be the case. But it seems Norn did. Yes. What kind of person is he? I thought I had gotten past it, but it seems I can't avoid this topic. But I'm glad Norn isn't here and she's asking me. He's of a magic race. I had already said so in the letter. Thinking that it would be pointless to gloss over it, I said that. I am already aware. Although he doesn't seem to be here today. What kind of person is he? Oh, she meant that. He did let his just married wife out by herself. Page 303 580. So she wants to know why he's not here. Their child is still small, so he's looking after the house. He told Norn that at least she should go and see her grandmother. It's definitely not because he's looking down on you or the Latria house. Claire's eyebrows knitted together. I didn't ask why he's not here, I wish to know what kind of person he is. Of course, he's a man worthy of trust. I'm sure I wrote this in my letter. He's an ally of the weak and doesn't tolerate hate.
It's the third time
strong
she
sense of
asked
justice.
you, bro. Come
Your
on.
idea of status is somewhat different from humans, but he's the captain of an elite unit in a large-scale army, so he has a somewhat high position in the village. On top of that, one of the demon gods slaying 3 heroes Pergia-sama has his eyes on him. Also. That's enough. Claire stops me halfway through and looks me in the eyes. Did I say something bad? Just from what you've said just now, I can tell you've left Norn in the hands of someone you trust. And if that's the case, although I have some thoughts on the matter, it's not my place to say them. I'm thankful you say that. There's no need for that. I had already promised you that I wouldn't interfere. So you did remember. Of course. My back may be failing me, but my mind is as sharp as ever. That's good. But I wonder why she was asking about that.
I don't care, bro.
Because we're simply making idle conversation, aren't we? In any case, Roxy-san is awfully small, isn't she?
Like
Page
literally
304 580.
Answer
It's a
the
trait of a
fucking
meager grace.
question, Rudy. Come on.
They are much older than they look. But it's
I don't
forbidden
care
to call
how
her that to her
adult
face.
you are. Jeez,
She's quite mindful of it. I understand that. I am a woman of the Latria house. My mouth may be foul, but I will not find fault with others' appearances. I had half meant it as a joke, but apparently she took me seriously. And since the previous incident, I thought it ideal to learn more about the magic and beast races. I think that's a fine goal. Whether you love or hate something, knowledge itself is important. Rather, it's possible to end up hating something simply because it's unknown to you. It's human nature to fear the unknown. We're a group that acts before learning. But, that Lara girl is a problem, isn't she? Yes. Of course I'm not talking about the fact that she's half magic race. It's about her attitude towards someone she's meeting for the first time. I am sorry about that. I thought she'd be fine with at least a greeting, but lately she hasn't been doing as she's told. I won't say too much about it. But it's my outlook that strict discipline is appropriate where necessary. She was somewhat roundabout when saying it, but she's probably telling me that physical punishment would be necessary. Well, there are times when that might be better. It's just that Lara is already quite experienced with that. Eris is in charge of spankings after all. She may look wild, but Eris is quite calculating. You should understand why I say so. For the future. Page 305 580. Exactly. A first impression is extremely important, it can change someone's mental image of you. So you don't exhaust their initial goodwill, and to avoid dissatisfaction down the line. It's starting to sound like a lecture. But somehow it seems like Claire is enjoying herself. But her mother, Roxy-san, despite the fact that she's from a magic race, she seems to be well aware. How so? When standing next to the legal wife Sylvie-san, she was always a step back. Her reserved greeting was also good. Her attitude displays that she knows her position. So it was about that. I have no intention of labeling them as legal and secondary or numbering them. No, that's not it.
Oh
The problem is that Roxy is
no.
thinking like that in the first place. Eris-san is a soldier after all.
The inferiority complex. Ah! Roxy, what the fuck? I mean, we all know that Sylphie's better, but like, come on. Like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Ugh.
So her attitude can't be helped. I'm glad you think as such. Claire looks like she's about to give another lecture. I'd appreciate it if she didn't say too much. Eris is trying her best after all. In any case, Rudius-san. Yes. I thank you for bringing them along. Claire said that as she bowed her head. I won't ask who. It's not Norn or Aisha or Roxy. It's no one in particular. Page 306 580. It's everyone. At the same time I realized her meaning, I understood. That I was a bit too on guard. That I should have looked at this more lightly, like a trip to Grandma's house. And so, our family vacation in Militis began. Page 307 580.
Your grandma's
Chapter 15.
cringe.
Ars' Militis tour. Part 1. Ars was bored, so he decided that he wanted to walk around town alone. When he first got here, what first caught his eye were the numerous towers. According to White Mama, they're huge magic tools, and it's because of them that the city has remained peaceful for so many years. After that was the shining silver building. According to Red Mama, that's the Adventurers Guild HQ, and most adventurers will visit it at least once. He absolutely wanted to go to those two. Of course, if he told his father, he would take him there. Just today, after he said he wanted to see the sparkly gold building, he took the smiling Ars along with him. But once they were inside, he didn't let Ars walk around freely. After they went in, Ars was running all around with curiosity in his eyes, but his father threw all kinds of limitations at him. You can't touch that, you can't go there. Honestly, Ars thought they were too restricting and boring. But what Ars didn't know was that the Militis church was already very considerate of Rudius. The Militis cathedral, especially the inner sanctum, are places only those with special permission may enter. Page 308 580. Under no normal circumstances would they allow rowdy children to enter. But Ars was still a child. He thought that as long as he asked to go to the tower or the silver building, he'd be able to go. But he realized that his movements would be restricted like today. That's all he thought. And so, when his father and the others left for the inner sanctum with the guards and the woman with the big chest, he and the other children were told to play in the gardens until they came back. He saw his chance. Let's see how close I can get to the silver building and the tower. Thinking about it, his entire life had been restricted by his parents. Don't go there, don't walk around town alone. Whenever he went out, he was always with Aisha or Leo. Since he was little, he had readily obeyed, and even now he didn't intend to oppose. Although he didn't completely understand the intention of his mothers, even though he was a child, he knew it was to teach and protect him. He knew that it was dangerous to go outside, and that he shouldn't go alone. He didn't necessarily hate having to go together with Aisha. But even so, sometimes he just felt like he wanted to go somewhere without someone watching him. Hey, Lorne, let's slip out. You want to go take a look at the silver building and the tower? And so the one Ars chose to invite was Lara. For a change, Lara was alone today. Page 309 580. Leo was with the guardian beast of the girl they called Maiko, the snowy owl, and had left Lara behind. And so Lara was also thinking that this was her chance. Lara and Leo have always been close. And even now, she had never disliked that. But he followed her everywhere, and was always warning her about her actions, so lately she had been thinking that it was a little irritating. So when she heard Ars' invitation, the edges of her mouth raised just a tad and she nodded. I thought that too. And so the two began to put their plan into action behind Aisha's back. They timed their escape for when Chris shouted Papa's gone. And started crying, and they moved to a bush, running from shadow to shadow towards the exit. Hey, where are you two going? And the one who had spotted them was Sieg. SHHH, we're just going out to play a little. They'll get mad at you if you go outside. I know that you've been sneaking out the back by yourself lately. I did not. Ars knew. Sieg was always going out by himself. But he didn't know why he wasn't being scolded for going out by himself. Ars thought that because he never saw him leaving with Aisha or Leo. And so he was a little annoyed that his little brother was the only one allowed out alone. In actual fact, Sieg wasn't alone. Page 310 580. Sieg, and of course Ars didn't know, that when he sneaks out of the house, a Rudo mercenary is always secretly guarding him. Of course, under the orders of the worry ward Rudius. So if you want me to stay quiet, so will you? Okay. We'll be fine, we're only going to the silver building and that huge tower to take a look. You're going to the Adventurers Guild? Hearing him say silver building, Sieg's eyes shone. He had heard many a heroic tale from Alec. And many of them ended up at the Adventurers HQ, so he had an extraordinary curiosity. Yeah. Then, I want to go too. And so Ars and the others left the Militis Cathedral. With mischievous hearts and full of curiosity. Page 311 580. Part 2. Ars, with Sieg and Lara in tow, headed towards the town. The architecture was completely different to that of Sharia's, and was filled with all kinds of houses and buildings with odd shapes. It set Ars' heart on fire. They had seen a lot of it in the carriage ride here, but there was something different about seeing on your own 2 feet. Just having the pavement under you is a big change. Even walking around a new city is exciting by itself. A group consisting entirely of children, especially Sieg with his green hair, stood out, but they didn't mind it. They had gotten quite used to those gazes in Sharia. Lorne, you have to walk forward. It's dangerous. Okay. Lara responded, but kept looking around with sparkling eyes. She was even more entranced than Ars at the tidy city. Hey, do you think we should have invited Lucine? If we get separated, she'll get mad at us. If we had told her where we were going, she would have stopped us. Sieg was always quite a coward. And even though he'd been training by himself and gotten quite good with the sword, Ars still couldn't figure out why he was still scared of everything. Lorene. What's that? What Ars was pointing at was a strange work of art. It was a green sculpture in the shape of an owl. Page 312-580. It looked somewhat similar to the white bird they had seen, but it was obviously artificial and a little ominous. Lara looked at it and answered with confidence. That's a fountain. There's no way someone would make a fountain that looks like that. But it's a fountain. That can't be right. But just as Ars went to inspect it, water squirted out of its mouth. Ah, it really is a fountain. Amazing. How did you know? I saw one similar at Julie San's place. That was one of Rudius's byproducts, the Merlian Wind Fountain. It was based on the Maiko's guardian beast nurse and was presented to her upon its completion. That said, putting something like that in the church's headquarters would be troublesome, but because of its stuffed animal-like qualities, the Maiko complained that she wanted it close by, and so it was installed near the church for the townspeople to enjoy. Oh. Seeing Ars and Sieg's gazes of interest, Lara puffed her chest out with pride. As the three continued their conversation, they crossed a bridge. And as they did, the scenery around was quite different. The buildings were smaller and there were more people. You could even see people carrying swords or walking around armored in large numbers. The rugged, hard-faced people seemed to have increased. They had crossed from the sacred ward to the adventurer's ward. Page 313-580. It got kinda normal. Yeah. But it was a scene that they had already gotten used to in Sharia. Although they could be called muscular and rugged, compared to the Rudo mercenaries, they looked rather weak. Not to mention Red Mama. Lorene, which way was the silver one? This way. Alright, let's go. The exuberant Ars walked forward followed by an excited Sieg with a somewhat sleepy-looking Lara behind them with a little smile on her face. Wow, amazing. Ah. Once they arrived at the main street, the Adventurers Guild HQ immediately came into view. It was a giant silver building placed right in the center of the street. There was no way you could miss it. Arnii. Hurry up. Sieg ran forward in high spirits. A complete 180 from his previous opposition. No matter what he said, there was no way he could fight against the charm of the Adventurers Guild HQ that was the start of so many legends. Ah, wait. Ars and Lara, with anticipation in their face once more, chased after him. Page 314-580. They wanted to get a closer look as quick as possible. Seeing the children suddenly start running, those around them suddenly thought. Danger. The result of children running was usually bumping into someone or getting run over by a carriage. But they completely overturned the people's assumptions and the three children skillfully weaved through the crowd of people. And they even stayed to the side where the carriages didn't pass. That was the result of daily training. Page 315-580. Part 3. Whoa. After arriving at the staircase in front of the entrance, Sieg let out an excited shout. It wasn't though they hadn't seen a building of this scale before. The Magic University in Sharia was a structure of impressive stature. But there was just something different about it. The Adventurers Guild HQ was silver and incredibly shiny. The Magic University was filled with reds and browns, kind of like a potato. Arnii, it's the Adventurers Guild. Yeah, it's the Adventurers Guild. It's completely different from ours. Ours is shoddy compared to this. But the smell inside is the same. Yeah, it does smell. Muttering some rude remarks, they walked through the gate. Very quietly. Some of the dimwit adventurers like to pick fights with children who walk into the guild. That was something that Blue Mama had told them. Ars was basically wishing for a fight, but if he started one after already sneaking out, Red Mama would get mad. Red Mama is scary when she's angry. She'll spank your behind until it's bright red. And if Sieg or Lara got hurt, Red Mama wouldn't be the only one angry. Making Blue Mama or White Mama angry, the thought had Ars shaking in his boots. But thinking that he might get to see Papa angry, made him kind of want to start a fight. Page 316-580. Up until now, Papa would always be complimenting or pampering them, rarely would he scold anyone. They had never seen Papa truly angry before. Wow. The inside of the guild was just as splendid as the outside would suggest. The inside felt amateurish but also composed, and there were a lot of desks. The number of adventurers was also completely different to outside. In the Magic City Sharia all the magicians seemed like beginners, and all the warriors and healers were quite skilled. But here it was the opposite. The ones that looked like beginners were the warriors and healers but all the magicians looked experienced. Ars. Seeing that Ars was satisfied by the scenery in front of him, Lara called out from behind. There are 3 more floors. Lara pointed at the information board in front of the stairs. It outlined the purposes of each of the floors.
It's always a
The first floor was a reception and a meeting place, the second floor was a store where you could buy equipment and raw materials directly from the guild, the third floor was a restaurant, and the fourth floor was a guild room for large-scale events and meetings. Let's go up. But as Ars began walking towards the stairs, a shadow was cast over them. When he turned around, a woman caked in makeup with huge breasts was standing there. This isn't a playground.
Yeah.
What did you come here for? Sightseeing. We've come from Renoa Kingdom. Page 317-580. The reason he managed to reply right away, was because his papa had told he what to say. Your parents. It's just us right now. Right. Then, how about I guide you around? Although I may not look it, I'm a staff member here. Today my shift ended in the morning, so how about it? After she said that, she showed them the crest on her shoulder. It was the same one as the people from the reception. Then please do. Ars's heart was pounding. Ars loved voluptuous breasts. Of course, he didn't hate small ones, but he liked big ones better. The woman in front of them was about the same level as Aisha, which was a size sufficient to cause Ars's heart to pound. Alright then, leave it to me. Okay. The first floor, as you can see, is the reception area. The woman began explaining all kinds of things with a friendly smile. The three of them followed her around on their tour of the Adventurers Guild HQ. First floor, second floor.
Okay, yeah, that peg is stuck. That peg is stuck. Okay. So already ours is 8 and he already has some tastes. Okay.
Third floor, fourth floor. The woman guided them around so politely that you would never imagine she was dealing with children. They had intended to move around freely, but they ended up with a guide. They had strayed from their plans, but everything they saw was fresh. Especially the guild room which Sharia's guild hall didn't have. It was so lavishly designed that you wouldn't imagine it belonged to adventurers.
I thought this was a meme. Don't tell me this shit actually happens, bro. Whatever, I'm not gonna...
They had intended to move around freely, but they ended up with a guide. They had strayed from their plans, but everything they saw was fresh. Especially the guild room which Sharia's guild hall didn't have. Bro. It was so lavishly designed that you wouldn't imagine it belonged to adventurers.
I thought that was
and that's the end. Did you have fun? Page 318, 580.
That better just be
right after she was done, she turned towards Ars and said that. Yes, it was interesting. Thank you very much. You don't need to thank me. So what are you doing after this? Are you going to meet your mom and dad? And no. Then would you like me to walk you home? That's fine. We'll go home by ourselves. He turned her down because they had yet to see the tower. He lied to her, but if they started walking to a different part of the town, she would surely notice. There was no way they could go home without completing their objectives. And so, Ars and the others left the Adventurers Guild. Their plans had changed slightly, but it turned out all right in the end. Now then, on to the next one. Ars was pointing not just at the tower, but the sun which had passed noon was beginning to fall. Page 319, 580. Part 4. They saw all kinds of things on their way to the tower. A complex aqueduct, on top of which were small boats. A carriage carrying large amount of what looked like monster materials.
The Lara thing?
And protecting it was a crowd of adventurers. They would shout in excitement whenever something caught their interest and were enjoying their field trip quite thoroughly. But because of all their dawdling, the tower, which should have been quite close, was still surprisingly far. By the time they had arrived there, it was already dusk. Wow, it's huge. Seeing the tower at night from this close-up was overwhelming for them. It was so thick that it took them several minutes to circle the whole thing, and it was so tall you couldn't see the top. And when you looked at it close up, you could see faint symbols carved on the whole thing. Although the magic tool wasn't comprised of the whole tower, to protect the magic tool on the inside, large-scale barrier magic was carved around the tower. Of course, Ars didn't know that. He simply thought that Lily would have liked to see this kind of thing. Arnii, it seems they won't let us inside after all. I see. Well, I guess it can't be helped. Although Sieg had managed to find the entrance, there were 2 soldiers guarding it, it seemed no one was allowed inside. Page 320, 580. That's a matter of course. Ars did want to see the scenery from the top of the tower, but since it seemed impossible, he had the judgment to give up there. Well then, let's head home. Yeah. Okay. Ars gave a triumphant shout and began to walk back, so Lara and Sieg followed. Larne, it was so much fun. Yeah. It was fun. That dragon head mounted in the guild room, I want one too. Alright, when I get bigger I'll get one for you. I'll help too. They were delighted to see all kinds of things they wouldn't normally have. Sieg was especially excited and had been continuously talking at Lara. But while they were walking, Ars was suddenly assaulted with unease. Could it be? No, it can't. Hey, Arnii, remember that giant sword mounted on the wall in the Adventurers Guild? Do you know what it is? No. It was one of the 48 magic swords. You sure know a lot. It was being used as a decoration, so it was probably a fake. Alexan once drew a picture for me. Wait up. Ars gave Sieg a rude reply and walked faster. Sieg was confused at Ars' sudden silence but kept talking to Lara. Page 321, 580. Lara was slightly curious about Ars' demeanor, but she didn't do anything about it and just kept listening to Sieg. The three continued to walk. They frequently trained, so no one complained that they were tired or their feet hurt. But seeing Ars walk in front of him silently, Sieg inevitably got quieter. Before long he stopped talking entirely and the three walked in silence. Slowly through the night. And so, the day ended. Page 322, 580. Part 5. Several minutes after the sun had set. The three were standing in a dark alley. There were no traces of people in the silence around them. Hey, Arnii, how much farther is it? How should I know? Ars didn't intend for it to turn out like this. It's not like he didn't think of the trip home. On the way there they would aim for the huge tower, and on the way back they would aim for the shiny gold building. It's a golden building after all. It stands out from quite a distance, and they would just be returning along the path they had already come. That's what he had thought. But the second the sun began to set, everything was dyed yellow. and the long shadows cast by the evening sun erased any traces of the path they walked. The fact that they had stopped to look at all kinds of things on the way there also had a part to play. What do you mean you don't? Shut up. I don't know what I don't know. Ars yelled at him and Sieg shook a little. Hearing his reliable brother yell at him, Sieg realized just how serious the situation was, and tears started to seep out of the corner of his eyes. He may have started training with Alec, but he was still a young child. He was also normally a good kid and wasn't used to being yelled at. Page 323 580. Ars. Lara quietly said that to Ars. Ars looked behind him. He saw Sieg with tears in his eyes and the still expressionless Lara. But in Lara's eyes he could see a small amount of anger. I'm sorry. Lara, we're lost. Yup. Do you know how to get back? I don't. Lara feebly shook her head. Lara always looked like nothing could faze her, but now she had none of her usual arrogance. Ars felt somewhat hopeless seeing her like that. But he didn't cry, nor did he complain, instead he clenched his fist. Everything will be fine. Leave it to me. This was something he started. So he had to fix it himself. That's what he thought. Ars took Lara and Sieg's hand and gripped them tightly. To relieve the other two, he mustered up his non-existent wisdom, and thought. Blue Mama had once said. When you're in trouble, don't panic. First think of what you can do. Right, when we left the big street, there were people there, we'll just ask them how to get there. The shiny gold building isn't that far, they should know where it is. It had only just turned night. Page 324 580. When they left Main Street, there were still plenty of people, it should be easy to ask one of them. Blue Mama had also said this. If you don't know something, don't be afraid to ask someone. What if the people are mean and don't tell us? Ars didn't know how to refute Sieg's negative declaration. He didn't think they wouldn't know, but he couldn't say the possibility of someone not telling them was zero. Continuing Blue Mama's previous statement. But it's not as if people will tell you anything you ask, there's a possibility they might lie, so you have to be careful. If that happens. Right.
True.
Papa told us if you ever get lost in the city, just go find a church, if you throw out Uncle Cliff's name they'll help you out. Priests can't lie to us, right? That's right. A priest still could lie to them. But the image that came to his mind was Clive's father, Cliff. And although they had only met a few times, in his mind Cliff was a person who would never lie. Well then, let's go home. It'll be fine, so don't cry. Cheddar Man doesn't cry. I am not crying. Strength returned to Sieg's face, and Ars looked like he had a bit more energy. And Lara, who now looked much livelier, gave an encouraging smile. All right. So first is Main Street or a church? Page 325 580. There were no people around them, but if they ran into anyone on the way, they could just ask them. That much would be simple. But along with that thought, Ars had a different sense of unease. Not only had he gone and gotten lost, he had gotten Lara and Sieg dragged along with him. His mothers would definitely be disappointed. Red Mama would be especially angry. Even Blue Mama and White Mama would. Normally Aisha would cover for them and try to soften the blow, but this time they had snuck out under Aisha's watch. There was no way she'd be on their side. Ars, are you crying? Lara peeked in front of Ars's face. Ars wiped the tears off his face with his sleeve. I am not crying. There's just some dirt in my eye. Lara, don't go anywhere. If we get separated here, it's over. Okay, got it? You sure are reliable. Stop it. It's my fault this happened. It's my fault too. Lara pat him on the head and he reddened slightly before facing forward. They quickly started walking. Staying in the gloomy empty alley, really was about to make him cry. There was no doubt that they were going to get scolded. He had prepared himself for that. Aisha would probably be mad at him too, but he remembered to make sure to apologize. And the second they turned the corner.
What the hell
Page
is
326
fucking
580.
Cheddar Man
Whoops.
stuff?
They ran into a woman. One with a voluptuous chest. Seeing a chest of familiar size, Ars reflexively made a sound. You're the kid.
Find a
It was the woman who had guided them around the Adventurers Guild HQ that afternoon. Oni said.
I don't even
What?
know.
Why else? I'm heading home after work, my house is this way after all. What about you? It's already dark, if you don't get home your parents will get mad. Ars was relieved. Because someone they knew had appeared. Hell is merciful. Was a phrase that Ars didn't know, but for now their future looked better. We got lost. Do you know where the main street, know a church or the shiny gold building is? Shiny gold, do you mean the cathedral? Right, that one. Cathedral. Of course I know. There's no one who lives in the city that wouldn't. Ars and Sieg looked at each other. But then Ars calmed his expression and cleared his throat. He had lessons from White Mama on how to act when asking people for something. Do you think you could guide us there? I'm sure our father would reward you. Silly, lost children shouldn't be so formal. Come on, follow me. Ars remembered. Page 327 580. White Mama once said. Connections between people are important. Someone who you might have only just met, could end up coming to your aid when you need it. Surely she was talking about this. Ars matured just a little that day. Page 328
Just a little.
580.
Just a little. Not
6.
much though.
We're here. And so the three of them had arrived at their destination under the guidance of the woman. Is what they had thought. The scene in front of them was that of a dark alley. There wasn't a single trace of anyone around them, the walls were scrawled with obscenities and the trash-covered floor gave an overwhelming odor. No matter how dark it was, he could tell there was no shiny gold building around them. Where? That's no good. Didn't your parents tell you not to follow around people you don't know? Hearing footsteps suddenly surround them, Ars was shaking. They were surrounded by vulgar laughs and a number of men. Ars could tell that they were planning on kidnapping them. And even though he had realized that, his thoughts were still a mess. The woman was a staff member at the Adventurers Guild and had kindly guided them around. So why? She had said she had gotten off work, but she said the same thing at noon. You lied about working at the guild. I didn't lie to you. This is a side job. Just a little bit of extra money. There are lots of kids like you in the city. Orphans who want to become adventurers and come to the guild, but page 329 580. Leave without joining. And once they leave, if they can't make it back home before dark, this is what happens. Damn it. Ars immediately picked up a broken stick from the ground and took a stance to protect his brother and sister. Arnii. Sieg was shaking while holding onto Ars' sleeve. Lara was expressionless as always, but she looked somewhat pale. He couldn't even protect the two of them. It was his fault.
Here's my complaint with this. Redundancy is too fucking long. How long have we been reading this? 45 minutes at the very least. So 45 minutes, and we've gone through 6% of this entire thing. Excessive wordiness. Ladies and gentlemen, excessive wordiness. Too much. Too much. I don't care. I don't care. It's
It
too
ended
much.
up like this. It was his mistaken judgment. But now, what could he do right now? What had his mothers told him? What? Anyone? Is anyone here?
Am I
being
overly
kidnapped.
negative? Yes.
Please help. Ars shouted. If anything happens, before you think about fighting, look for help. That was what Blue Mama had said, or was it White Mama? Or maybe Aisha? No, it was probably something his papa had said. Cry and scream all you want, no one's coming. Ars could tell that was the case and immediately moved to his next line of thinking. What he remembered next, was something Red Mama taught him. First, carefully observe the enemy. Page 330 580. Ars remained on guard and calmly looked around. The alley was a dead end. There was one person in front of him and two behind him. They all had swords. But compared to Red Mama, they were weaklings. They had no presence nor bloodthirst. They were at a level common in Sharia. They were small fry that would piss themselves and run in front of Red Mama. All he had on hand was a stick that looked like it would break after one hit, but he had already been trained in unarmed combat and he could somewhat use magic. If he did as he practiced, he could surely win. Surely, probably, it will be fine, probably. Arnii, are you going to fight? Ill fight T2. You stay back, Sieg. Although that's what he said, Ars's knees were shaking. The stick in his hands was shaking, his breathing was rough and he looked like he was about to burst into tears. He was about to fight three adults in pure darkness. And on top of that, he had to protect his brother and sister. That kind of pressure was a first for Ars. Oh, what a brave big brother. But there's no way you can win, you know? Although these guys are ex-adventurers, their skills are the real deal. Shut up. Don't you touch them. Ha, don't hurt them too much. These kids come from somewhere high up, so we'll get quite the ransom for them. The two responded with a yes, ma'am,
wonder if
and
he's
charged at
gonna
them.
make it
Ars felt his stomach
out.
tighten. And as he turned around and put as much mana into his fist as possible. Clap clap clap. Page 331 580. When something broke the silence. It was the sound of clapping. It came from behind the two men encircling them, and everyone stopped moving. At the same time, a white lump jumped over the two men. After it did a quick once around of the situation, it sniffed Lara to make sure she wasn't injured, and turned to the men and snarled. Grrrrrrr. Leo. It was Leo. But the ones clapping wasn't him. Because he didn't have hands. Alright. That's enough. It was a familiar voice. A voice so familiar there wasn't a day that went by without it. With her dazzling brown hair and a fang one that fit her, she walked out of the darkness. Dressed in a maid outfit, protruding her huge chest, holding a lantern. Aishane. Ars called out her name. She wasn't his sister. She wasn't his sister, but if he called her aunt, she would get angry. Today Arskan, I've come to save you. Seeing her carefree smile, Ars was about to cry. But Ars and the others weren't the only ones relieved. Page 332 580. Seeing that their opponent coming from the darkness was a big dog and a maid, the men became confident again. Bitch, whose maid are you? The Grere house. Ah, around here it would be better to say the Latria house. The family of Carlisle Latria who has long served the Holy Knights. You've heard of them, right? The Holy Knights.
Bitch,
Hearing that name, the men were suddenly flustered. The men weren't well versed in the names of nobles, but they had at least heard of the Holy Knights. They were famous among believers, they were the private army of the Militis Church. I would give up on holding those kids for ransom. It won't end well for you. If I was afraid of the Holy Knights, how could I go on kidnapping? There was no way they weren't afraid. They had heard rumors of how the church treated heretics. They would tie your hands and feet up and from your feet up, one by one, slowly smash every bone in your body. Anyone else would see it as nothing but an act of sadism. But they believed from the bottom of their hearts that what they were doing was good. And in response to your screams of pain, all they would tell you is, if you truly wish for salvation from the bottom of your heart, God will surely hear you. You may soon be by his side, rejoice, while giving you a smile that could relieve you from the bottom of your heart. Of course, it was just a false rumor, but the men believed it. It's fine if you're not scared of the holy knights. But how about the Rudo mercenaries? Their super beautiful financial advisor will chase you to the depths of hell. It's much scarier than dying. Why would the Rudo mercenaries get involved? Page 333 580. Of course, because the Rudo mercenaries' top dog is those kids' father. The men suddenly looked startled and looked at the kids. Ani Aicha. Whoops, Rudo mercenary chief, Rudius Rere. Right hand of the dragon god, influential to many nations and a master mage. He's normally quite gentle, and would just keep talking even if you poured liquor over his head at a party. But he treasures his family quite highly. If he found out that his children were attacked, what would he do, I wonder? Why, you're just making it up. Do you really think that? I'm starting to get tired of trying to convince you. Even if I'm wrong, if I take you out here, it makes no difference. Really now? Leo, do it. At that command, the white beast moved like a storm. First he went to the man in front of him, bit his leg and shook his head. The man's leg snapped with a clean sound and Leo let go. The man spun through the air and slammed into a wall. And by the time the other man had turned towards that sound, it was too late. He didn't even have time to draw the sword on his back before Leo bit his hand. After a few snapping sounds he let go and bit at his face, then after being shaken around he fainted and was thrown at the wall. Hi. The woman didn't get away. As she was trying to climb the wall to escape, Leo bit at her behind and threw her at the wall like the other two and she passed out. Ars watched the whole thing dumbfounded. Page 334 580. On top of that, Leo probably held back. With that much power, he could have easily bit their heads off. But he didn't. He had gripped them between his teeth, broke their bones, and threw them into a wall, knocking them out. The opponents that Ars had feared. Is everyone alright? You're not hurt. Aisha completely ignored the passed out kidnappers. She crouched in front of Ars and the others as if nothing had happened and checked them for wounds. And no, we're fine. Really? Then let's head home. Ars didn't know what was going on, but he nodded, and Aisha flashed her tooth and smiled. Page 335 580. Part 7. Along the dark path. The three were on Leo following Aisha and her lantern home. The kidnappers had already been taken care of. After Aisha blew some kind of dog whistle, the Rudo mercenaries came running and took them to the authorities. Ars thought they would be scolded on the way home. Why did you leave all by yourself? Why did you get Lara and Sieg involved? Aisha rarely got angry. No matter how mischievous Ars was or how much trouble he caused for others, she never got angry. She would always cover for him, saying it couldn't be helped. She would always kindly tell him not to do it again and to learn from his mistakes. But this time, they were only a step away from disaster. And they had ignored Aisha, who was always looking after them, to do so. Aisha had come to search for them, but Mama or Papa probably got mad at her. She was told to look after the kids until everyone came back, but they ended up disappearing. And having someone you're watching over running away would also make you angry. No matter how gentle Aisha is, even she would be annoyed. Although Ars didn't think that far through, he could still guess that Aisha would be angry at them for what they did. Aisha nay. Sorry. And so, Ars apologized. For what? Page 336 580. I left without telling you, and put everybody in danger. What are you talking about? But Aisha laughed and pat his head. He couldn't feel the slightest bit of anger from her actions. Ars wondered if she had forgiven them. But why? We're here. Aisha said that, and Ars realized they had arrived at the gate to the Latria house. In front of the manor, Ars swallowed in anticipation. Aisha may have forgiven them. But his mothers would definitely be angry. They had taught him to protect his siblings. And this time he had gone against that. He should at least be prepared for Red Mama's spanking. Even Papa might be angry. Thanks for your work. Aisha said that to the gatekeepers, and they followed her through the kitchen's back door. They walked down a hallway and opened up a door to a room filled with their family. In there was their three mothers, two grandmothers, a blonde aunt, a stone-faced great-grandmother, and their papa. We have returned. Aisha bowed, and the family looked at the three of them. They were surely about to get scolded. The first would probably be Red Mama. Page 337 580. Red Mama was always first. That's what Ars thought. Oh, welcome home, you sure took your time. But Red Mama simply gave them a light answer. Was the Adventurers Guild fun? Red Mama's tone was soft. But you shouldn't have come home so late. Even if you were with Aisha and Leo, it's dangerous at night. That's correct. Even though you were with them, you shouldn't be fluffing about outside at night. Why didn't you return sooner? White Mama and Lilia's words were somewhat harsh, but they weren't angry. Nornay and Claire didn't say anything, but their gazes said that they agreed. Don't worry too much, although they are a little late, we haven't even had dinner yet. More importantly, did you see anything interesting? Papa, as always, was sweet. Zenith Bachan was silent as always, but she didn't look like she was criticizing them. Zenith Bachan was like that, but when she's mad you can just tell. UMM. Ars couldn't tell what was going on and was troubled on how to answer. There was a noticeable silence. In the Adventurers Guild's guild room, there was a dragon's head on the wall. Lara suddenly said that. Page 338 580. Judging from her expression, it seemed like she knew the answer. She probably heard it from Leo. Papa, did you know, in the Adventurers Guild, they had a magic sword. After that, Sieg began talking about the Adventurers Guild with a happy look on his face. The previous dilemma had probably already slipped from his mind. Let's finish the story later. We'll get Lucy and the others and have dinner. The atmosphere was calm and they went and had dinner. Page 339 580. Part 8. After dinner, Ars left the large dining room. He returned to his own room and as if it was natural, he turned around and faced Aisha. Why? The first thing Ars did was ask that. Why was no one angry at them? Why did everyone know they went to the Adventurers Guild? All those included.
What? I was seeing if if we were able to go faster.
And Aisha just gave a smile. Wanna know? Yeah. Aisha changed from looking like she had just succeeded in a prank to a serious expression. I saw you when you three were trying to sneak out of the cathedral's courtyard. You looked like you had lost to your boredom and were about to pull some kind of prank, but when I heard you say that you were going to the Adventurers Guild, I immediately followed. Ars could understand that. Aisha had already seen through everything. And on top of that, she didn't meet up with them and let them do what they wanted. Tailing them so that on the off chance that something happens, she can come out and save them. I didn't think you'd go all the way to the magic tower though. She had always been protecting them. Page 340-580. Although she didn't intervene when they were lost and on the verge of tears. Then when you realized we were lost, why didn't you help us? Don't you already know that? Hearing her joke-like tone, Ars clenched his teeth. Of course Ars knew. It was his fault they were in that situation. He thought that because of his mother's teachings, if something did happen, he'd be able to do something about it. And even when he knew they were lost, he still didn't give up. He mustered up his own wisdom and tried to figure something out. It wasn't over. And so Aisha continued to watch. It wasn't her turn to come out. But in the end, when it came to a situation where they would be injured, she came out. Ars made a mistake so she came to save them. And because that woman didn't seem like a kidnapper, because she had kindly guided them around the guild, Aisha didn't act until the last moment. He couldn't blame her. Everything was his fault. Aisha was still cleaning up after his mistakes. Aisha-ne. I'm sorry. Anything else to say? Do you know what you did wrong? We snuck out without telling you. No, that's not it. Aisha's denial surprised Ars. It was something unusual. Aisha never really tried to teach Ars anything. She always say it can't be helped, and cleaned up the situation, but never said anything in regards to it. Page 341-580. But Aisha's face was the same as always with a smile full of composure. Arskan, you thought I was irritating and decided to go out by yourselves, right? I didn't think you were. Irritating. Just a little. But I like you, Aisha-ne. Really? Hee, thanks. Hearing you say that, you're making me embarrassed. Aisha put her hands on her cheeks and swayed side to side. In any case, you wanted to go to the Adventurers Guild without someone watching over you, right? Yeah. And you knew you shouldn't. Yes, but everyone would worry. Of course, worrying everyone is bad. Yeah. But you never wanted to worry anyone on purpose, right? You're not that mean of a kid. Ars nodded. He didn't think too much about it, but he never wanted to worry anyone. You thought that after you went to see the Adventurers Guild and the tower I'd just ask. Geez, where have you been? And you just look at Lara and Sieg and laugh, it's a secret. Like nothing happened. It was exactly that. He didn't have that clear an image, but a situation like that was Ars's ideal. They would go out and enjoy themselves and return before they worried anyone. They might have worried Aisha a little, but they would be right back and she'd say so you were just over there, and give a sigh of relief. The fact that you couldn't do that is the problem. Aisha said it straight out. Page 342-580. Ars had a goal. To go to the Adventurers Guild without Aisha or Leo or anyone else. She didn't care about the fact that they didn't want to go together, it was just part of the goal. But if you set that as your goal, you have to complete it, is what she was saying. Although you say that. Aisha-ne, what would you have done? Even I'd have a hard time going to both the tower and the Adventurers Guild in that short amount of time.
I know where it's going
just too far
to
apart.
because I thought
so I'd probably just
I
go
thought
with
it
the
was a
Adventurers Guild and
joke.
save the tower for another day. Didn't you already know that you didn't have much time?
Was saying
So the second you heard our plans yesterday, you should have come up with a proper strategy. You're right. I would have also brought a weapon, and a tool to contact someone. So just in case I ran into something I couldn't handle myself, I could call someone to come help. Hearing it outlined so clearly, Ars realized what he did wrong. Looking at it calmly, Ars really was careless. It was too sudden and lacked thought. Failing in that situation was a given. At the same time he thought. Aisha really is amazing. I got it. Next time, I'll be more careful. So I don't worry anyone. Yes. As long as you keep that in mind. But while you have to be careful, you can't be scared of failure. Because you'll never be able to do anything that way. Fail to your heart's content. But, if it ends up like today. Don't worry. If you fail, I'll take care of it like today. Challenge yourself without fear. Aisha whacked her large chest. Ars didn't really understand, he remembered how today felt and smiled at Aisha. Page 343-580. Alright. I understand, Aisha-ne. Thanks. You're very welcome. Ars-kun, you're so cute. Aisha said that and hugged Ars. And while he was having his head pat while being stuffed into Aisha's soft chest, Ars was earnestly thinking over the day. Page 344-580. Chapter 16. Roxy's Duty. Part 1. That day I was reading on a chair out in the garden. Eris and Sieg were nearby doing practice swings. Although I think it would be fine to give it a rest while they're on vacation, Ars was with them just before, but Rudy's Aunt Therese had invited him off somewhere. They're probably eating sweets inside her room by now. Well, that's fine, but he's always been somewhat. Whenever he's with women with large chests, he always looks quite excited. I feel his relations with women in the future will be harsh. Lara has been wandering around the garden with Leo for a while now. Probably plotting something again. Her actions have been somewhat incomprehensible as of late. That aside, Ars, Sieg, and Lara are all usually quiet around the house, so today should be quite peaceful. Sylvie and Norn took Lucy and Clive on a trip to the Adventurers Guild. They invited me along with them, but I turned them down. I don't really want to have a child come up to me, tell me I'm trying to make a party of adventurers around the same age, and invite me to join. And in Militia magic races always stand out. There was also Lily and Chris to look after. Page 345 580. But they had already fallen asleep, so I was left without something to do for the first time in a while. And being myself, I decided to read a book. And lucky for me, there was quite an interesting book in the Latria library. The title was Origins of Divine Attack Magic. Its description of resurrection magic was quite interesting. During the Human-Demon Great War, the demons utilized a certain magic to torment the humans. Resurrection magic. A magic to revive and enslave the dead, now skeletons, wraiths, and moving armor type magic beasts are all that's left of this forbidden art. Divine attack magic was birthed to combat resurrection magic. And during the first Human-Demon Great War the two continued to counter each other and evolved together. After that, resurrection magic was declared a taboo and was lost, and divine attack magic, though it still exists today, is in decline. There weren't any detailed descriptions of any magic formations or chants, nor do I have any intention of attempting resurrection magic, but reading about it has tickled my curiosity. Ancient magic battles. How romantic. 1. Roxy Sama. Yes. Someone called me from behind and I looked up from my book. Standing there was a maid of the Latria house. I have a bad feeling about this. The madam. Claire Sama has called for you. Page 346 580. Claire Latria. She is more or less my grandmother-in-law. Although we should be around the same age. For now, I won't show any displeasure, but if it has something to do with the demon expulsion faction, I'm sure that will change. I wonder what she wants to say. To be honest, I want to run. I snuck a glance at Eris. Oi, tuck your arms in more. Raise your chin. She's teaching swordplay with the same enthusiasm as always. If it has something to do with my race, that's fine, but if it's something else. Like if it's about the children's education. But if I run she might end up calling on Eris. Eris can't handle complex or subtle conversations. If they say something she doesn't like, she'll end up hitting someone. That's just what she's like. She would be able to rebuke Claire, but then a fight would be unavoidable. I understand. This is just another duty as Rudius's wife. Page 347 580. Part 2. Although I had gotten myself hyped up over it. Currently Claire is quietly drinking her tea. And I, unable to say anything, am simply sitting in front of her. For some reason Lilia and Zenith are here too, Lilia being in the same shoes as me. Zenith is the same as always. Honestly, it's suffocating. There are also some sweets next to the tea but I can't reach for them. They're some of my favorites, but I feel like if I try to grab one, I'll get told off. You'll ruin your dinner, or something like that. I'm often having to tell Lara that. It can't be a coincidence that both Lilia and I are here. Although our husbands are different, we both have the same position that it wouldn't be an exaggeration to call mistress. And that's something that the Militis religion doesn't accept. That said, I am prepared. I have been somewhat spoiled as of late, but I have always been prepared for insensitive statements. It seems Lilia feels the same way I do. Or maybe she was already prepared for it far before I was. In any case, I can consider it a silver lining that Eris wasn't called here. It seems Rudius-san is out. Claire broke the silence. Page 348 580. She was the first one to talk since I entered. He went to deliver a gift to Cliff-san. Work it is. Even though he's on vacation with his family. He's exactly like Carlisle in that aspect. Rudius woke up early this morning and went with Ellen Elise to deliver the doll to Cliff. But would it be okay to call that work? The doll. It was an automaton designed to take care of Cliff. I had already received an explanation regarding Anne, and I didn't have any real opinion on her. But even I feel this one is somewhat off-putting. After all, it looks exactly like Ellen Elise, even its behavior and tone are identical, only the ears are short. The appearance was apparently her idea. Recently Cliff's position has gotten quite high, he's been quite popular with women and has even gotten a number of marriage proposals. So she intends to use it as a form of pesticide. They were planning to introduce it at Cliff's wife, hiding the fact that she was an elf. Ellen Elise had spent many months teaching it how to act like her. That said, Ellen Elise probably had another use in mind for it. She had complained that it doesn't have what it needs. Of course it's not exactly like her to the last detail, but it really does look just like her, it's unnerving. Rudy had once made a doll of me, but I really couldn't handle it if it moved. If he had asked me for permission, I would have to turn him down. Page 349 580. Even Rudy wouldn't make one without permission. And in my case, the real thing is close by, so there's no need for a substitute. Although not to the extent of Sylvie, I won't complain about anything Rudy earnestly requests of me. I would like to be spared from anything overly perverted though. In any case, although I haven't known Cliff for all that long, would a devout Militis believer be happy to get something like that? It's a surprise present, is what Rudy had said, but I feel like he might get angry instead. But that's not a problem I need to worry about. I don't think it's something you could call work. He and Cliff are especially close. I see. If it was as long as it's not something outsiders shouldn't see, I wouldn't see any reason to go out of my way to deliver it myself, I'll attribute it to a difference in common sense. No, it really is something outsiders shouldn't see. If it didn't come together with an excuse, there's no way Cliff would take it. By the way, Lilia-san, where might Aisha-san be today? Aisha has gone to pay a visit to the mercenaries, she left this morning. It seems she won't be back until this afternoon. Aisha is with the mercenaries. It's just that after hearing ours will be in the house all day today, she abruptly decided to leave. She probably didn't want to be in the house. Thinking about it, after Lucy and the others said they wanted to go out, Norn and Sylvie immediately agreed and they left. Well, Norn coming along was in part due to Lucy begging to go out with her. It seems those children aren't so fond of this house. Claire breathed out her nose and took a sip of tea. Page 350-580. Maybe she didn't like the taste, but she knit her eyebrows. And then with a somewhat troubled look on her face, she looked Lilia in the eyes. Lilia-san, when you came here last, I was quite harsh towards you. No, I do not think such at all. I would like to apologize for it. In that time, a man whose birth was unknown named himself Zenith's husband and requested assistance from my house. After that, when I thought they had found Zenith, another woman naming herself his wife with her daughter appeared before me. I was not feeling of good temper. I can understand your mindset. I do not mind. And so, I somewhat held it against Aisha. What's this prickly mood? It's making my stomach hurt. But my worry was reversed. You have served the Grere house well. The reason Zenith has recovered to such an extent is due to your strong encouragement. I thank you for supporting Zenith from the shadows. I am unworthy of your words. I am in no way strong. You are the only one who thinks that. If you had heard what Zenith had to say yesterday you would understand. Everyone in the Grere house is grateful towards you. It's true. Rudy may not be conscious of it, but he treats Lilia the same as Zenith. Not as below her, but as an equal. That said, Zenith is in a state which she can't voice her gratitude. If Lilia made the choice, she could live not as a maid, but properly as his mother. But if that were the case, our home might not be as peaceful as it currently is, and Zenith's treatment may not have been how it is. It is because of Lilia, without desire, working from the shadows, that the Grere house is what it is today. Page 351-580. You too, Roxy-san. Being suddenly addressed, I raised my head in surprise. Claire wasn't looking at me, but at her own hands and Zenith. And then she turned to look out the window. These last few days, I've been able to watch the children. Every one of them are so lively. Although Lara is somewhat overly mischievous, she's a good girl. By any chance did she do something? Yesterday morning, she gave me a frog as a present. I widened my eyes in surprise. Just what is that girl doing? That's... I'm terribly sorry. Please let me. No apology is necessary. When lunchtime came around I had it grilled and gave it back to her. I widened my eyes in surprise. Now that I think about it, yesterday afternoon I remember seeing her eating something grilled. But when I asked her what it was she told me it was a secret. Of course, I had one of our chefs properly prepare it. I don't partake very often, but frog is quite a popular food around here. Because it rains quite often in the Militis continent, frog and lizard dishes are numerous. During my time as an adventurer, I was quite grateful for that fact, although there was a time before I knew detoxification magic that I almost died after eating a poisonous one. But if they had a proper chef look at it, I'm sure they wouldn't feed Lara poison. Page 352-580. But that's quite surprising. From what Rudy had told me, she was quite rigid, and wouldn't be the kind of person to do something like that. This morning she had told me that snack yesterday was delicious. I will certainly repay this. I don't have a clue what her intentions are in repaying me. Is she criticizing her? Her tone is sharp as always, and there isn't a hint of a smile on her face. She's criticizing her, isn't she? Ha. Claire let out a sigh. It seems she's getting to the main topic. I don't know what has you so stiff, but Rudia-san has told me that I am not to meddle in your family. I do have some things I would like to say, but I intend to keep my promise. When she says it like she's scolding me, I'm really not convinced. The reason why I have called the two of you here today is because, compared to the others, you two are the most mature. Slifiet-san is still young, and Era-san is still immature. I don't know how Zenith was before, but now, she isn't someone that needs to be cared for by others. What I wish is for the two of you to take a step back and have a good look. And so. Cough cough. Claire had a coughing fit and the nearby maids ran over. I stood up and prepared to cast detoxification magic. But Claire shooed the maids away saying it was nothing and resumed drinking her tea. Page 353-580. I'm fine, I just choked. Claire was looking at Zenith. She had just been looking at Air, seemingly oblivious to the conversation around her. But she had stood without Lilia's incitement and was facing Claire with her vacant eyes. Should you not rest? Lilia had said it, but it almost sounded as if it had come from Zenith. Really, I simply choked a little and you're causing such a fuss. Everyone is surprised when they see me with a cane. My back may be gone, but my mind is as sharp as ever. You too, Zenith, stop making that face and sit down. Hearing her mention Zenith's face, I took another look at her. It was the same blank expression. I looked at Claire quizzically, but she also looked surprised. For now, I'll return to my own seat. Zenith, by Lilia's hand, was also back in her seat. Silence once again flowed. Claire's surprised expression gradually returned to normal. But it seemed like she still wasn't quite calm on the inside yet. When she first stepped into the aristocracy, Claire once again started talking. Page 354-580. When Zenith first attended a noble party, on the way out I lost my footing on a staircase and fell. Her tone had gotten emotional. Before I knew it, Claire's gaze had fell. Something like sobbing had gotten mixed into Claire's voice. It was no large injury. It was quickly mended with healing magic. But for some reason, I can clearly remember Zenith's face at the time. Something came dripping out of Claire's sunken face. She picked up the handkerchief by her side and wiped around her eyes. Zenith's reputation was excellent, I was so proud. I never once thought I raised her wrong. Claire's shoulders were shaking. And I, not knowing what to say, simply stared at her. I suddenly thought. My thoughts on the children's futures. I married Rudy, I gave birth to Lara and Lily. I would leave the children to the family and teach at the Magic University. Sylphie, Lilia, and the like would look after the children at home, and I would look after them when they enrolled in the school. It was a fulfilling life. But I hadn't given any thought to the idea on how to raise them. Lara was the daughter I gave birth to, but compared to Lucy she was quite mischievous, and it had me worried. Page 355-580. Was it because I was of a magic race? Was it because she was half human? I worried about all kinds of things. But before I knew it I had spent years worrying and she had already grown up. She wasn't particularly cut off from the other children, and was quite close with Ars and Sieg. She'll calm down when she gets older, That's what I thought. I was the same. But I hadn't really thought of anything past that. Lara has the role of savior placed upon her, but I don't entirely understand what that's supposed to mean. I knew she would participate in the fight against Hitagame, but what about after that? Right, after the fight, life still continues. Honestly, I thought worrying over it was pointless. I apologize for my loss of composure. Don't mind it. One shouldn't be crying at my age. Claire, with her eyes still red, returned her handkerchief to the table. She also cried yesterday, at the Maiko's reenactment of Zenith's story. Ahem. In the Holy Militis nation, there is a saying that a broken house raises broken children. I am also in agreement with that opinion. Claire said that and took a strong look at us. The children of the Grere house are all healthy and in no way.
Okay, so from what I remember, the author is adapting Redundancy as a light novel, and I hope, like you say, Jazz, I really hope they cut it down. I really hope they cut this down. It's just, yeah. Yeah, like I said before, the wordiness is annoying, like you said. All right, was there really a need to put so many words in this, because this could have been cut a lot. I really hope they cut stuff out in the light novel version. Like, I'd read that, but like I eventually will. Like, I have all the light novels behind me, but like I haven't read them since reading volume 14. So I'll eventually continue it, but yeah. I just hope that editing eventually gets taken care of. Those problems eventually get taken care of in the light novel version. I really hope.
Warped. I would also never call Zenith warped. But, from here on out, you should be careful. On the chance that any abnormalities appear, you would be the first to notice. Abnormality. Page 356-580. Like when Zenith decided to go out on her own. It's certainly possible. Especially Lara. I can never tell just what she's thinking. No, it might not be Lara. Maybe because she had been raised so meticulously, Lucy would be at the most risk. At school she's a dedicated scholar. Would I find some abnormality? Just thinking about it makes my head hurt. I called you here today to tell you just that. Claire leaned deeply back into her chair. Lilia and I exchanged glances. In response to my bewilderment, Lilia looked at Claire with determination. I understand. You may leave it to me. She looks like a soldier just entrusted with an important mission. She can probably say that because she has confidence in the way she raised Norn and Aisha. Oh, Rudy too. I will also do what I can. I also said that. It's not because I have confidence. As a teacher I've seen all kinds of people. But I still don't think I'm qualified for it. But through Ares and Sylphie's guidance, I hope I can provide a new path for anyone who strays. If it's that much, I can manage. I have to. Page 357-580. But that's not all there is to it. Although Claire has her own viewpoint, I have to look at it objectively. She's from the Demon Expulsion faction, so her opinions ought to reflect that. I want to be able to respond to her request, even though she thinks little of me as the magic race I am. The door to the room opened. A white dog walked into the room. And of course, on top of it was Lara. Lara was, for some reason, covered in mud. Both her shoes and clothes. Even though I've told her so many times to not walk into the house with dirty shoes. Lara, don't ride Leo inside. Lara looked annoyed about it, but she still got off him. I don't tell her very often around the house, but I feel like it's been working as of late. Even at school, whenever I take my eyes off her, she's always on him. I feel like sighing. Lara just slowly walked up to Claire. Hi Bachin, I found something cool. What is it? This. Lara reached into her pocket and pulled out some round gold object. I couldn't see it well from where I was sitting, but it looked like a necklace of some kind. Claire was amazed when she saw it. Page 358-580. Where did you find this? The garden, lost. Hi Bachin, you've been looking for it, right? Yes, for quite a while now. But, how? Bachan said, even though you were always wearing it, you probably ruined your back bent over searching for it. Lara looked at Zenith and said that. That wasn't something the Maiko had said the other day. Lara probably heard it herself maybe yesterday or this morning. And you went to find it for me. As thanks for the snack yesterday. It was delicious, but those are better as snacks. Lara shifted her attention to the table. She's looking at the cakes that came out with the tea. You can eat them if you want. Rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub. 1. Lara grabbed one and put it straight into her mouth. With both explosiveness and agility, in an instant she had cleared the table. I at least wanted to tell her to wash her hands first. Ah. She ate mine too. Well, I don't really mind. If I ask Rudy, I can have sweets whenever I want. I won't get mad at a child for stealing my food. Page 359 580. But my. Ah. She looked quite satisfied as she swallowed the last bite. Leo was astonished. As if he was wondering where his portion was. We're in the same boat. Yup, it's better than frog. Well then I guess I'll have to have some ready for tomorrow as well. Yay. Lara got back on Leo and headed back outside. She had already forgot my warning not to ride Leo inside. I'm sorry, she doesn't have any manners. I apologized, but Claire was focused on what Lara had brought to her. When I got a closer look, I could see it was a gold locket. It had a young man's picture inside. Carlisle gave this to me just before we were married. It was something far too expensive for his station at the time, but he had told me, after we are married, I will be a member of the Latria house, and I will no longer be able to buy you something with money that is wholly my own. She sounds touched remembering it. I had lost it about a year ago, but had been bent over looking for it. My back became as such and I was forced to give up. The maids were also surprised by it. Page 360 580. Claire probably didn't tell the servants she had lost it. Roxy-san. Yes. There is no need to be caught up in formalities when expressing gratitude. Ha. Lara's manners are plenty sufficient. It seems I was mistaken. No, I don't really think Lara is that admirable of a girl. But if she can say that, I may have been mistaken about the woman called Claire Latria. Rudy had been quite wary, and Aisha outright hates her. I had been quite on guard, I wonder why. Or perhaps she has changed since Rudy last met her. He has an effect on all kinds of people. In any case, I think I can get along with this person. We haven't known each other for long, but after this visit, we may never meet again. Make sure that girl doesn't fall down the wrong path. Of course. I nodded in response. Page 361 580. Chapter 17. Along the Holy Sword Highway. Part 1. Time flew by and our 10-day stay passed in the blink of an eye. The first day was a visit to the cathedral. We took Zenith to the Miko and she used her power to hear what she had to say. Claire was with us too, and halfway she broke down into tears. I almost did as well, but seeing that Zenith was happy as always, I held it in. While we were doing that, the children seemed quite bored waiting outside, but we still had to meet with the Pope together with the Miko, so we ended up taking quite a while. The Miko kept bragging about her daily training routine and how slim she'd gotten and just wouldn't stop. The kids must really have been bored out there. Apparently Aisha took ours, Lara, and Sieg to see the Adventurers Guild HQ. Going by the fact that they go back so late and Ars's face when he got back, it looked like some problem had occurred. But Aisha had probably already dealt with it. But it didn't seem that Lucy was mad at being left behind. She and Clive were probably satisfied looking around the cathedral together. She might have liked the gardens, or maybe Clive's tour was quite entertaining. And seeing that Lucy wouldn't tell me the details, it was probably the latter. If I pressed it I might have gotten it out of her, but I held back. In any case, I'd like for Clive-kun to continue to be sincere. Page 362 580. The second, third, and fourth days were spent giving various greetings. Letting people know that the Dragon God subordinate was in Militis. The Holy Knight Captain. Various members of the Latria family. And of course among them was my Aunt Therese. She's unfortunately still unmarried. After that was the formal audience with the Pope. I met with the Militis royal family. The fifth royal prince. And although he was a prize, he was over 40. It was a real pain, but I eventually managed to secure an audience with the king in several days' time. For a greeting as the representative of the Dragon God. Orsted had said, it's fine if you put off making relations with the Militis royal family, but I asked him before and a simple greeting was fine. I don't know why he said that after hearing that we were going there for a holiday, but the original purpose was show the kids different parts of society. I myself didn't see any problem. On the fifth day we delivered the doll to Cliff. When we got there he had some good news for us. In the last 5 years he seemed to be evaluated quite highly and they were considering his promotion to bishop. Normally that would be impossible as young as he is, but I'm sure there's some kind of ulterior motive. The parish Cliff is in charge of is in a particularly special location. The southernmost point of the Great Forest. When I went through it while traveling, it wasn't a particularly important place. But it seems that in the last 10 years the scope of the place has increases along with the number of people. Page 363 580. The city isn't affiliated with any particular country or race, but when places get larger like that, people are bound to be interested. And so, various representatives of different races have gathered there to decide all kinds of things. The Militis Church's representative is an archbishop known as the Cardinal's Dagger and part of the demon expulsion faction. He follows the human supremacy doctrine, so not only is he against the magic races, but the beast races too. He's a disdainful man, but he's good at his job. I'm sure he's working to assure all kinds of things are in his interests. But considering his personality, putting him there could cause problems with their relationship with the Great Forest. But there are some especially extreme groups among the demon expulsion faction that welcome such a turn of events. And so that's why Cliff was chosen. Because of his relationship with the Rudo mercenaries who employ a number of beast races and one of the beast race princesses. He was well connected, possessed no prejudice, and he was of the Pope faction. So they raised his rank and gave him the job of overseer. Cliff seemed disappointed that he wasn't chosen purely for his ability. But regardless, after he finishes his work in the city, he'll be a bishop in both name and rank. Once he becomes a bishop, his influence will increase, and if he can gain favor with the elves of the Great Forest, the church may stand for him taking one as a wife. If that happens he'll be able to invite Ellen, Elise and Clive to Militis. And after hearing that much I was like, then here's your promotion gift. And took out the doll, but he got super mad. Apparently if they knew he was with a woman at this time, it would be a big fuss. Page 364-580. That said, he didn't completely outlaw the doll, so I think he might have been happy with the idea. He seemed quite curious as to the details of its magic formation. Well, if it comes down to it, we can always put some sunglasses on it and dress it as a man, like Sylvie suggested. It has the strength to act as a bodyguard, so I'm sure it would be helpful for Cliff in his line of work. There's no guarantee that archbishop won't try to assassinate him. Incidentally, when I returned that day, Claire was in quite a good mood. Apparently Lara found her locket that she had lost a year ago. It's a good story. A parent loves to boast about their kids. Although Leo was probably the one doing the searching. And Roxy's child-raising motivation seemed to have increased. All the children will be at school soon, so I'm going to have to properly watch over them. She said. Roxy's cute, but she's the type to worry too much when she's enthusiastic about something, so I'm a little worried. Also, apparently Sylvie and Norn took Lucy and Clive to the Adventurers Guild. Lucy talked about how wonderful their lunch was with a massive smile plastered over her face. It seemed like she wasn't that interested in the guild itself. On the 6th and 7th days we walked around with no particular goal. We went shopping and took the kids sightseeing. We took a carriage out of the city to look around, we stopped at a nearby farm, we let the kids play in the river we came across. Page 365-580. We basically just did whatever we felt like. The 9th day was the audience with the king. The Militis king was a mild old man. In Militis the church holds most of the power, so the royal family is comparatively weak. And because of my connections with the church, the meeting was simply a formality. I would have liked to show the castle to the children, but I held myself back on that one. Well, it couldn't be helped. Because we could say that we enjoyed Milition to the limit. Page 366-580.
How long before this chapter ends? Well, let's take a look-see.
Range towards the hot springs. There aren't any monsters.
Ruin this. All right. We're at page 366. I'd say it's 90%. Well, we have around 3% of redundancy to go through till we reach the end of this chapter. And we're only at 62% of the way through redundancy. We started at 50 today. I'm gonna die, I swear. Let's continue.
Page 366-580. Part 2. It's now the 10th day. Time for us to leave Milition. We'll head north through the Blue Dragon Mountain range towards the hot springs. There aren't any monsters until we reach the entrance to the Great Forest, but I hear there are a lot of ruffians near the town stops. Just you alone would be one thing, but to bring children along too, you should be a bit more careful.
Dude.
Right before we left, Claire gave us a good mouthful.
All right. So I have a proposal. This is the most boring part of Mushoku Tensei we have ever gone through. So I have a proposal. Do I put this, all right, do I put this right here on this part of the screen right here? Okay, so hold. Do I put it here? All right. Should I put it here and then hold? Put myself here, right? Put myself here. And then we have a game on the right side here. Nah. Who wants to play a game? This is like extremely boring, and I don't think I'm gonna get anything out of like paying attention to this. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I pay attention during this entire thing? Should I give this 100%? Should I give this thing like 100%? Depends on the game. Well, I got plenty of games here. So it can't be too crazy. Although we could go insanely crazy and just go something that doesn't really require much thought. We could go something that doesn't really require much thought, and we could go like what, NBA 2K? NBA 2K. We could go Persona 5. We could go as far as I remember, this chapter doesn't have much, I think. If you don't run or read, then just don't. The problem is I have a responsibility to go through this entire fucking light novel, good and bad. So I'll still be able to pay attention while playing a game. It's just like it's I just want to be able to do something on the side here. Oh, I know. Let's do Storybook Brawl. All right. This is a mindless card game. I'm sure you all will enjoy. So I'll be able to pay attention to this for the most part, but I'll have a game on the side here. So game capture. Where the fuck's the game? Where the fuck? Oh, there it is. Ah, fucking hell, dude. You don't take up that much of the screen here. It's just a simple card game. So I'll be playing this. I'll be playing this on the side here. All right. All right.
I was here last. She was reprimanding me for all kinds of things, but when we first arrived she didn't say much. Now, by the 10th day, she seems to have no problem scolding us. Although she's not unpleasant about it. She probably finally managed to get a feel of the distance between us. But right before we left, she turned to face Norn. Norn-san, this time around we didn't talk all that much, but would it be alright if I said just one thing to you? Yes. Norn had "here it comes" written all over her face. She's been trying her best to avoid Claire these past 10 days. Even in spite of Roger telling her to treasure her relatives. But Norn couldn't be blamed. If they were to talk, Claire might end up bad-mouthing Roger. And if that happened, I'm sure Norn would fight back in turn. Claire's quite stubborn, so I'm sure she wouldn't take back anything she said, and it's quite possible it could turn into a massive ordeal. Page 367 580. You are no longer a Latria or a Grere. Yes. In that instant, Norn's expression was extremely aggressive.
Hold up. Someone recommended play the Yun Paul Greyrat game. No, because that requires reading, and we don't want to be reading while reading a web novel. Oh, hold up. That requires reading, okay? All right, so I'm going to explain this game real quick, all right? So we have some gold here on the top left. You can't see my mouse. Shit. Let me change it so you can. Properties. Capture cursor. It should capture my cursor. What the fuck? Okay, it's not. I guess it's just not going to. So we have gold here on the top left. And we have a shop of minions to choose from. So we pick this up. And we also have a spell on the far right. Now, I don't have 2 gold, so I can't buy another minion. So I'm going to go here and give this buff to a good character, +1/+1 permanently, to him. Since that's evil, I can't give it to them. And support, you put him on the back, everyone in front of him, in 2 rows above, gets +3 attack. All right, that's the gist of it. You'll learn as you go. All right, let's continue.
She probably expected something unfavorable about being a demon's wife. That's just how sharp Claire's words were. Even I had a premonition that something bad was going to happen. You are now the wife and mother of this
Redundancy feels like a
Be aware of
school
that and work yourself
chapter,
to the bone
but
for
you
your
have to
husband.
read true.
But what Claire followed up with was something quite sensible. It did sound somewhat like an order though. I am not knowledgeable of demon customs, but is it a wife's duty to protect their children and house? I'm sure that hasn't changed. Do you understand? Yes. Norn looked quite shocked, but she eventually meekly nodded. Claire then nodded in satisfaction. As if a weight was lifted from her shoulders. I feel like Claire has changed in these last 10 days. Maybe because of that, Roxy
Just
and
say
Lily
it's
could
like
spend their last
Clash
few days here
Royale.
relaxing.
No, it's not.
Something probably happened in the time I was away.
Trust.
Especially Claire and Roxy.
I
They seem
swear
much closer
it's
compared
not.
to when they just met. She's probably happy Claire wasn't discriminating against her. Roxy's had more than enough of that in her time after all. Page 368 580. And thanks to that, Norn probably managed to get over a little of her ill feelings. Aisha is the same as ever though. Page 369 580. Part 3. After about half a day's travel from Militis, we arrived at the entrance to the Blue Dragon mountain range. We stopped the carriage and got the children off. And then we turned around. A spectacle opened up before us. You could see the city of Militis in the distance. The river flowing through the city, green as far as the eye can see. We spent 10 days there. The brilliant white royal palace, the glittering gold cathedral, and the sparkling silver adventurers guild. It's the same view I saw together with Eris and Roger 20 years ago. Although the small building and the people living there might be different, seeing it like this makes it seem like nothing's changed. What do you think? This kind of massive scenery is something you can see quite often in this world, but I would bet there's no other place that you could walk around in and then look at it from a distance like this. It gives a kind of indescribable feeling. I stopped thinking to myself and turned around to check the children's reactions. Wow. They were quite varied. Page 370 580. Lucy had a smile of honest admiration. She's been acting more and more like the eldest sister lately, but she's still quite childish in this aspect. Oh, Clive next to her seems to be debating to himself whether or not to grab her hand. But he didn't get far before Lucy turned and smiled at him. It's amazing, she said, before Clive blushed and threw out it's not all that great. He's so cute. Just watching them makes me feel more relaxed. I remember when I was doing things like that. Wait, did I? I have a feeling I didn't. Oh, and Cliff is with us this time around. He's going to be with us until we get to the post town where he's going to be inspecting his new church. Although that's just the official excuse. He had managed to convince the Pope to let him spend some time with Ellen Elise. I want to live here someday. It's full of sweets. Laura stared sleepily for a couple seconds and said that. I had heard from Roxy in the carriage just before, but apparently Claire was pampering Laura quite a bit. Claire would prepare sweets for her every day, and she spent each one with a smile of bliss on her face. She does seem somewhat more plump compared to when we got here. It seems she was silently living in sweets paradise. Hey, Papa and Red Mama came here a while back, right? Yeah, but I was a little older than you are now. Ars nodded and clenched his fist. Page 371 580. He's probably thinking of becoming an adventurer in the future. Hey, Mama. That's the Nicholas River. And over there is the forest where the goblins live. That's right. Do you know what that one is? That one.
Animal,
It's
not
the Gate of Triumph.
monster. Gosh,
The Gate of Triumph is where St. Millis returned after the war. That's why it's bigger than the rest. That's right. You sure do know a lot. Sieg was pointing at everything he could see, assaulting Roxy with one question after another. Alec has been telling him stories of all kinds of adventurers, so he's oddly well informed. He seems even more likely than Ars to get into adventuring. Papa, pick me up. Chris walked up to me and held her hands up. Do you not understand them? Yeah. After I picked her up, as if she had no interest in the scenery, she buried her face in my shoulder. Chris is cute as always. Lily also got Sylvie to pick her up, and was playing with a magic tool we bought in the streets the other day. She doesn't seem all that interested either. It's probably a bit too early for these two. I guess that's pretty normal. Page 372 580. Or maybe Lucy and the others who can be honestly impressed with the scenery just mature faster. It sure brings me back. Eris was next to me before I even realized. Back then, I never would have thought we'd end up like this. Eris looked over Militis as if she were embracing it. Her red hair was fluttering in the wind. She's still young, but she'd graduated from childhood into a beautiful woman. What did you think would happen? I thought, we'd end up with something more simple. Our lives really aren't that simple. Eris doesn't think too hard about many things, but it's not like she doesn't put thought into anything. Although she's calmed down after giving birth to 2 children, time changes people. I love you, Rudius. Eris suddenly looked me in the eyes and said that. She's making my heart race. What do I do? Right now, my face is probably bright red. Point 1. I love you too, Eris. I managed to calm myself down and say that, and Eris leaned on me slightly. This would be my chance to get my hands on Eris, but unfortunately, they're holding something else important. Instead I thought to just tickle Chris and she quickly began to giggle. Page 373 580. Papa, no tickling. Whoops, sorry. You won't tickle. I won't, I promise. Eris began to giggle at our exchange and kissed me on the cheek. She then kissed Chris on the forehead and turned to the others. I guess it's about time we got moving. After she said that, we headed back for the carriage. Page 374 580.
Bruh,
Part 4.
this
In the
book.
valley that divides the Blue Dragon mountain range. On the
Bruh.
proverbial handle of the Holy Sword Highway. The cliffs rise up straight from the ground, with only the occasional rock jutting out, producing a gloomy valley as far as the eye can see. The children were quite excited when they first saw it. Even Laura let one of her rare wow slip. The adventure has begun. From here on out, we have no idea what we might come across. Will we see monsters? I had heard that there was a blue dragon somewhere near here, but will we get a chance to see it? Our hopes were destroyed after a few days. The scenery never changed. Because it's not the right season, there were no dragons. And of course, we didn't see any monsters. The valley just continued on endlessly. The children were over it within 3 days. Laura didn't even try to hide it and would just shout I'm bored.
I just had to.
Repeatedly. Occasionally she would say I'm walking Leo, leave the carriage, and go off somewhere on top of him. If she finds a gap she might even be able to climb the cliff. Ars, Sieg, and Clive didn't say anything, but you could see the delight on their faces whenever the carriage stopped and they could practice their combat with Eris, or have mock battles with each other, or practice magic with Roxy. We wasted our days away in the rocking carriage. Page 375 580. Chris was crying we're trapped. And Lily had already disassembled the magic toy she had gotten only a few days prior. The only quiet one was Lucy, who was still reading the book she had gotten from the Latria house. I hope she doesn't get motion sick reading on a carriage. The carriage was in constant pandemonium. We all worked together to try to pacify the kids. But this is the first time they've been out after all, so maybe we should have stopped by some more interesting places. Although there is the matter of safety. That said, it's precisely because they were so over it, that when we got to the post town, they were overwhelmed with excitement. We're hearing. The second they saw the town at the end of the valley, Ars, Sieg, and Lara all jumped straight out of the carriage. Don't go running off. Eris and Sylvie chased after them. Ars and Sieg got caught by the scruff of the neck, but Leo managed to slip away and climb onto a rock some way up the cliff. That said, there's no reason to panic. The Holy Sword Highway is a relatively safe place. Lara. We're all sticking together until we get to the inn. Eris's shout was oddly restless. Page 376 580. She was also quite bothered being cooped up in the carriage. She's much more mature and calm than she used to be, but you can't change a person's true nature. Eris has never been someone able to sit around for a long period of time. Ars and Sieg reluctantly returned to the carriage. But Lara didn't. She stared at the forest that opened up endlessly before her. Lara, come back. Lara turned around to look at Sylvie but Leo didn't move. She looked at both Sylvie and Leo, got off his back, and tapped him a couple times. But seeing that he still didn't move, she looked somewhat troubled. Sylvie, no longer able to wait, began to walk up to them. But the second she reached out to Leo, Lara stepped in between them. Wait. You can look at it all you want tomorrow, so let's go. This is Leo's first time seeing his home like this. Wait a little. I see. Sylvie looked like she didn't know what to do and looked towards me. I'd like to let him look, a little more, but right now we're moving together. I'd like to get going quickly to keep the children from exploding. What to do? Even if Leo is with her, there's no way I can let them catch up by themselves. Sylvie's probably thinking the same. I got off the carriage and walked up to them. I'll bring them back, so you go on ahead. Okay. Come find us before it gets dark. Sylvie took me on my word, nodded, and headed back towards the carriage. Page 377 580. I sat down on the rock next to Leo. And Lara sat down next to me. The three of us in a line, overlooking the great forest. Although it's a relatively flat and straight road, because it passes through a mountain, we have a good view from above. A brown line cuts through green as far as the eye can see. It's kind of magnificent. Thinking back on it, last time I was here, I never even turned around to take a look. Lara. Yeah. Does Leo miss it? It doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like it, huh. Then I wonder what he's feeling. Since I'm not bilingual I can't tell, but the one that is, doesn't speak all that much. Point 2. I don't want to ask her too much so I don't make her feel like an interpretation machine. Point 3. Whatever, I'll change the topic. Lara. Yeah. I was going to tell you when you turn 10, but when you get older, you're supposed to go to the Duradai village for some kind of ritual at their holy tree. I know, I heard. From who? Leo. From the holy beast himself, huh? Page 378 580. You know Persona right? Aishane's dog. That's a harsh rating. Although she's not wrong. You'll go together with her. Lara looked somewhat puzzled at that. Papa won't come too. I'd like to, but it's one of the beast race's special rituals so humans might not be allowed. Or is she thinking something else? Does she not want her papa to come because it's embarrassing? Although I think she's still a bit young for her rebellious phase. And then Leo looked at me. Woof. Leo says it's not a problem. She's probably talking about me coming along. Since she took the trouble to translate for me. I guess that means she's not against the idea. That said, when she gets older, she'll probably find every reason she can to dislike me. Don't wash my clothes with your underwear. Or something like that. Chris is still saying things like I'll marry Papa when I grow up, but I'm sure that'll change when she gets a little older. Papa. It's alright, you can look forward to it. Page 379 580. Thanks, I guess I will. I don't know what I should be looking forward to, but for now I'll agree. Lara returned my nod looking satisfied and stood up. Is it time to go now? But right as I was about to get up. How? Something suddenly landed on my shoulders. But when I saw the tiny shoes in my field of vision, I knew that Lara had climbed onto me. Carry me. Am I Leo's replacement now? I want to be pampered by Papa. So it's like that. Well then, I guess I shall oblige. Rudia-san spoils his daughters. Arwhoa. As I stood up, Leo howled. The sound rang far through the great forest. Page 380 580.
Okay, that's Charles.
Chapter 18. Hot Springs. Part 1. When you think of mountains, hot springs come to mind. After that, we arrived in the post town, and after pushing our way through the swarms of beast races gathering to meet Leo, we arrived at our inn. After taking a quick stroll through the town, we met up with our guide, Talhand. And after the children fell asleep, we had an adult-only meeting in the tavern. After our stay at the inn, we set out first thing in the morning. Following Talhand's directions, we arrived at the hot springs. We had heard that monsters appear around the hot springs, but it was much closer than I thought. You can see from the rock face the other day meets the milky white of the hot springs. The entire area was surrounded by a large stone wall to keep the monsters out. And if you look down in the direction we climbed up, you can see the post town in the distance. In other words, it's an open-air bath with a superb view. And of course, it's a mixed bath. But there really aren't many people here.
View.
There aren't even any humans. If you look around, it's almost entirely dwarves and hobbits, with the occasional beast race. Hot springs probably aren't all that popular with humans or elves. Page 381-580. In human culture, baths like this are usually the things of nobility. Well then, there aren't many people. And there are no humans. That said, there are men. There are men and women. Showing my beloved wives and daughters' naked bodies to unknown men is a good thing.
Hot Springs
Wait,
episode.
no it's not.
You're really excited
Especially
about
this time,
that.
because it's not just my wives. Elise is here too. Even if she used to be your friendly neighborhood adventuring stripper, I will find pleasure in seeing another man's sexy elf wife naked. Wait, that's not right. And so, with that in mind, I have prepared a special kind of bathrobe. It's a kentui made of a dark fabric. Point 1. It has no particular resistances, but it's made to feel natural like a swimsuit when wearing it. The designer is Aisha Grere. Aisha, they have a waterfall over there. Huh? Where? Look, it's over there, there. Ah, wait mama. Aisha, along with Eris, Ars, and Sieg all seem excited to be in a hot spring for the first time, and are exploring their new environment. The dark black fabric isn't see-through, but it does cling, making the figure completely visible. And they're moving all over generously exposing it. Eris probably hasn't noticed, so that's fine. And Aisha probably doesn't even care. Well, whatever. Page 382-580. This is a place anyone can enter. As long as the important places are hidden, it's fine. Let those who are embarrassed be so. Although I do hope they don't cause trouble for anyone else here. Even here, there are matters that are necessary.
It doesn't have
Hey,
to
Blue
have
Mama,
battles,
you've been here
but
before, haven't you? Yes, it was a long time ago. Tell us.
it does
Sure.
help.
It was right after I had left the Magic Continent, around the time I had just graduated from being a beginner adventurer. Roxy was telling a story to Lucy with Lily in her arms. Clive was also listening in nearby. Clive's face was bright red, probably because of Lucy's state of dress. But it's too early for you to know those kinds of feelings, Clive-kun. Your father, nor I, will permit it at such an age. And so Holy Beast Sama, this is the Savior Sama. Rough. I see. Lara and Leo were surrounded by beast races. Lara has her usual bold expression, but she looks somewhat bothered. It was like this in the post town as well. Chris Sama, if you get hot, please say. I will prepare you something to drink. Ki. Lilia was washing Zenith and looking after Chris. She was sitting with me before, but she didn't like the hot water, so she quickly got out. Now she's clinging to Zenith. Page 383-580. Well, that's fine. This is the best. This is the first time I've drank dwarf liquor. It's pretty strong. But it's good. And Sylphie, Elise, Cliff, Talhand, and I are all drinking together. We bought some dwarven liquor in the post town and chilled it. I've never tasted anything like it before, I don't even know what it's made of, but I do know that it's good. It goes down smoothly and as it passes your throat, gives a soft scent of flowers. The cold penetrates your body and slowly warms you up from the inside. Rudy, come on, give it here. Give me a drink. Come on. Sylphie got drunk real quick and now she's snuggling up to me somewhat dazed. Drunk Sylphie is as cute as ever. So cute that you'd never expect she's a mother of two. This isn't something to show the children. Right, of course. Soaking in a hot spring, with an arm around a beautiful girl drinking together. This is the best. I'm in paradise. At least I should be. But something's been giving me shivers. Page 384-580. I already know the cause. The man quietly drinking in front of me. Talhand. A former member of Paul's old party Black Wolf's Fang. An S-rank adventurer currently working solo. A capable and trustworthy man. I have no reason to doubt him. If he does something I can deal with it. And I did conduct a comprehensive interview to determine if he was Hitagama's apostle. Although there was the case with Jisu. He calmly lied through his teeth and did whatever he wanted. So although I can't be sure, if I start thinking like that, I won't be able to trust anyone. I have already decided to trust Talhand. But why? His gaze gives me chills. The journey to the hot spring was the same. We were protecting the carriage the children were riding in. Eris was the vanguard, Elise and I were the front with Talhand right behind us, and Sylphie and Roxy were behind the carriage. I was using earth magic to make the carriage ride smoother, but I kept getting those chills. And whenever I looked back, Talhand was staring at me. Well, it should be obvious that since he was right behind me, and we were walking in the same direction, that when I turn around he'd be looking at me. I was probably just nervous walking along a known monster path with the children. I'm just overthinking it. Page 385-580. But I just can't understand why his gaze gives me chills. What is it? And before I knew it, I had asked him that. What is what? I get the feeling you've been staring at me a while. Of course. You much resemble Paul. I have been observing. My father? Yes, with you walking in line with Elise, it brings back memories of old. The backs of Elise, Ghislaine, and Paul, Jisu and Zenith's voice behind. I am reminded of my days in the Black Wolf's Fang. Talhand looks engrossed in pleasant memories as he strokes his beard. I can't see my own back, so I don't really understand, but is that how it is? But then, what are the chills I've been feeling? Odd. Rudius, I'd be careful if I were you, this dwarf will drink up men too. Elise said that with her head on Cliff's shoulder. Talhand looked somewhat sullen at her remark. Don't say things in such a way that will cause misunderstandings. Right. What will I do with Elise-san? Can she think anything remotely pure? This damn dirty elf. Page 386 580.
This
I take
damn
men only.
dirty elf.
This dirty dwarf. Wait. That means the chill I felt. He's aiming for me. If you lay your hands on me, Eris won't stay quiet. She'll chop you in two, too. But then Sylphie tremblingly grabbed hold of me. And as if to protect me, gave Talhand a stern look. Rest easy, I won't lay a hand on someone without interest, let alone a married man. So he does have his morals intact. Well, I guess that's obvious. He may be like that, but that just means his preferences are slightly different. When you think about it that way, it's perfectly normal. But you've been staring at his ass this whole time, haven't you? It's in a man's nature to appreciate fine buttocks. You understand, nay? Talhand looked somewhat troubled at Elenali's inability to stop talking. Of course, I understand what he's talking about. I've been staring at Eris's ass as she walks around too. Eris is looking this way. She couldn't have felt the chills too, right? She hit her chest. She knows. But you're hiding the wrong place. I wasn't looking at your breasts, but your ass. 3. Your resemblance to Paul is genuine. But if you possess some aversion to it, I shall cease. Not really, if you're just looking, go ahead. Ho ho, then I shall take you up on that. Page 387 580. Talhand said that with a smile on his face and took another swig. How about another? I think I will. People have all kinds of tastes. If the other party has their morals in check, there's no need to be any more wary than normal. It's no big deal having him ogle me. Well, Talhand is built like a bear, so I don't really think I have anything to compare to though. But still, I never thought you would agree to be our guide. Elenali suddenly said that. I don't understand your meaning. I mean, I thought you were avoiding going back to your hometown. This hot spring is in dwarf territory, isn't it? Won't it be a problem for you if someone you know spots you? It seems there are some circumstances behind Talhand's past. Now that I think about it, among Paul's ex-party members, he's the one I know the least about. Well, I guess the fact that I wasn't all that interested played a part. That's rich coming from the woman who claimed it to be impossible for her to stick to one man. Life can change people. I think the same. It was a good opportunity, so I thought I would settle it. Oh, how manly. I need not your flattery. After seeing all of you, I simply thought it pathetic to have avoided my family for decades. Page 388 580. Talhand said that with an unpleasant look on his face and took another swig. Does that mean you'll be going back to your village? Essentially. Rudius, go ahead. Hearing my name called, I turned around. It took me a second to realize what she meant. She probably realized that it would be a good opportunity for me. But I am with my family right now, would it be a good idea to ask? Well, getting an answer now should be fine. Actually, I had the intention to make contact with the Orgod. The Orgod? Yes, or someone of that level of influence. I would like to extend an official greeting as the subordinate of the Dragon God. I don't know what kind of standing Talhand has in his village. Asking something like this might even get him in trouble. So I can only hope. He's a very hard person to please. Orsted said the same thing. That he's hard to please and hard to like. The only things he likes are liquor, gems, and raw materials that can be made into armor. But simply gifting him a bunch of that, wouldn't be enough to make an alliance. Even if I ask, you might get turned down. Do you know him? Somewhat. Talhand nodded while pondering. They might be related. Page 389 580. When I get back I'll have to ask Orsted about it. I won't ask you to force anything, there are probably many things you have to consider after all. That's quite true. He took another drink in thought and let out a breath reeking of alcohol. I will think about it. I understand. I apologize for asking something unreasonable. As I was about to bow to him, he pointed the top of the bottle at me. Don't apologize, just drink, is what he seemed to be telling me. I obeyed his command and held out my cup. Page 390 580. Part 2. After we got out of the bath, we headed back to our rooms. After that we had the rest of the family wait in the inn as Roxy, Talhand, Elenalise, and I went to look for somewhere to install the teleport formation. We only took those used to walking through mountains. Eris wanted to come too, but I had her stay back as a guard. And so the 4 of us entered the mountain. It was just past the inn. Somewhere people don't come across often is ideal for a teleport formation. Ariel once told me that the Major's powers want to have teleport gates connecting them and they're currently making plans for it. But that's still quite far off. Lifting the taboo on teleport magic. Until we know that it's a real possibility, I'll still have to keep putting my personal formations where people can't find them. If we go too high we'll be in Blue Dragon territory, so we still have to keep it within reachable range. I guess about here's fine. Now that we've found somewhere to set it up, it's time to make a building. It's basically made the same as a dragon race relic. 4 rooms with a hidden staircase in one leading to the teleport formation. I've left Roxy and Elenalise outside to keep watch. I dig the hole with earth magic and begin forming the room. I had Talhand help out with the specifications of the inside. Nobody's going to stumble across here, but the formation lead to the office. Page 391 580. So in the 1,000,000 to 1 chance someone finds it, we'd be in trouble. And so with that in mind, I dressed it up like a real ruin so any travelers that come across it leave satisfied. I even threw in something that looked like a treasure chest. I set it up like something along the lines of a rest stop. It should seem like somewhere ancient travelers would be able to take a break. Talhand was the one who made the furnishings. He certainly lives up to the dwarves' legacy of craftsmanship. He crafted it all from a single huge piece of stone and even made them look appropriately worn. By the time the sun set, the building looked like it had been standing there for over 1,000 years. It's impressive. I don't think anyone will be able to tell. There aren't any plants or moss. Anybody who knows what they're doing could tell right away. Oh. It seems the craftsman is unsatisfied with his work. That said, I don't think anyone will come across it that quickly. If someone does eventually stumble across it, it should look properly aged by then. There's nobody around to clean it after all. Is it even alright for us to be erecting a building here? The dwarves have sealed it off, haven't they? The dwarves treat the mountain as something of a god and buildings are considered offerings. No matter what we build, nobody's going to complain. Is that how it is? Maybe I should have made the outside more gaudy instead of hiding it all underground. The fact that the entrance leads underground basically screams that something fishy is going on. Well, I guess it's too late now. Page 392 580. Since we're done here, we should head back. I'll be there in a second. Finally, I activated the formation and teleported. After confirming that it does in fact lead to the office, I head back. All good. If something comes up, I'd be fine with you using it too, Talhand-san. No thank you. I shall make do with my feet. Talhand shook his head and refused. So for now, the teleport formation is complete. All that's left is to head back. Page 393 580. Part 3. The next day, we set out from the town early in the morning. And here is where we parted with Cliff and Talhand. We gave our goodbyes before getting in the carriage. Cliff is to conduct his investigation today and return to Militis within the next few. Clive, make sure you're a good boy. Of course. Cliff really didn't want to say goodbye to Clive. It's not like they won't see each other again. But it's always painful to part with family. Make sure to keep up with both your studies and training. Don't make that girl you like cry. Be kind. There's no girl I like. In that case, treat everybody as kindly as you would a girl you like. Alright. Okay. He gave Clive a good pat on the head and turned to me. Rudius, I'll leave Lisa and Clive to you. Of course. You keep at it too, Cliff-senpai. You bet. Cliff turned around as if no further words were necessary. The fact that he doesn't need to say anything else is a testament to his faith in me. And I plan to live up to it. Well, Elise has everything pretty much together, so there's not really much I can do. Page 394 580. I guess I'll just have to turn Clive into a great man for the day he asks for Lucy's hand. No, it's not set in stone. I'll just make sure to be there if they ever need help. I walked towards Elise and Roxy, who were talking to Talhand off to the side. Apparently he's temporarily returning to Militis. There seems to be some sort of preparation necessary before returning to the dwarf village. Although I'm not sure if he needs to get something or prepare himself mentally. Talhand-san, I would like to thank you for your help. Of course. I wish you luck with your family and your village. Having Paul's son worry about me is somewhat disturbing. Talhand gave me a good look. I have a feeling he might be checking me out. I thought so yesterday too, but as long as you show the or god that he might even be happy to meet with you. That. The dark hard one from yesterday. My hard dark what? Is the or god a homo? Wait, I'm not that dark. I guess I would be hard, am I?
Gosh.
I don't have anyone to compare to. Roxy, don't just blush, say something. No, it's mine, or something like that. Talhand, if you just say his thick dark hard one, he won't understand. Be more clear. I didn't say thick. That one from yesterday. The big rock you made from earth magic. I don't know whether to call it a mineral or a crystal. Page 395 580. Oh, the rock. I did make a bunch of big black rocks yesterday. I was going after toughness, so they did end up quite hard. So he was just talking about the rock. Oh, Roxy's face is bright red. Just what were you imagining? Oh, Roxy, you dirty girl. Well, I was thinking the same thing though. If I have a sample to take with me, it might help with the request. Sure. I immediately conjured up a stone bar with earth magic. A thick hard black one. Of course it's quite heavy. It's about 15 centimeters long and probably weighs over 10 kilograms. If you plated it with gold, you might even be able to fool someone. Although it's far harder than both gold and platinum, so you'd be found out right away. Is this fine? This is good. How many can you make? He eventually took 5 of them and after feeling out their weight, nodded. I would think 5 of them would be quite heavy. He is an experienced adventurer after all. Then, until the next. Talhand gave me a nod and turned towards Roxy. Talhand, you be careful. You take care of yourself, Roxy. Of course. Page 396 580. Talhand laughed. Roxy smiled as the two friends parted. Page 397 580. Part 4. And so our family vacation ended without incident. Thinking back on it, all I did was work, but it was a good trip. I pray this was a good experience for the children and will help encourage them. Saying it like that really doesn't suit me. I hope they all grow up well. Page 398 580. Chapter 19. Talhand the Clifftop. Part 1. Talhand the Clifftop was the 37th of 51 siblings. He was born to an ordinary dwarf family and was constantly surrounded by his brothers and sisters. 51 of them. Of course, they didn't all share the same mother. Something not generally known is that in the dwarf village, all children of the same generation are all grouped together. I guess you could liken it to a school, but from the moment they are born, they are considered siblings until death. And so all the children live as siblings, any disparity in wealth is lost, and they can eventually transition smoothly into positions of responsibility within the village. And among their siblings, someone will be the chief, some will be servants, and others will marry each other. Of course, that's simply the state of this village. Dwarves outside the village have no such custom.
Don't encourage
Anyhow, Talhand was raised among several tens of people as siblings. He was a normal child. He was interested in rock and iron, he liked the smell of alcohol, and he admired blacksmiths and builders. The only thing that might have stood out was that he seemed to like the men more than the women. Page 399 580. That aside, among his siblings there was one who was
Ugh.
particularly popular. His little brother, the 38th of 51. His name was Godbert of the splendid heavenly peak. Godbert had a particular talent. Once dwarf children are of age, they are taught blacksmithing and crafts, as well as simple earth magic. And amongst those, Godbert far outshone the rest. He could use the hammer to create steel as hard as the adults, he could craft ornaments splendid enough to make you doubt your eyes, and if you showed him a building, he could immediately fix its weak points. Dwarves live longer than humans. Around the time that Godbert's talent was discovered, there were still those who had lived through the Laplace War. He's the spitting image of the late Or God, they proclaimed. At their recommendation he was selected as a candidate for the next Or God and was given preferential treatment. The other children also came to recognize him as their future leader. It was at that point that Talhand also began to show changes. He lost interest in smithing and crafts. Because he knew that no matter how hard he tried, nothing he made would ever outshine Godbert. He wasn't comparing himself to Godbert. The adults never even looked at anything anyone other than Godbert made, so there was never even any comparison. Did Talhand want to be number one? No. That wasn't it. Page 400-580. Then did he resent the respect shown to Godbert? That wasn't it either. Talhand and Godbert were quite close. In fact, Godbert was one of his first friends. Talhand's first love was Godbert. When he heard that Godbert was to be the next Or God, he was happy. And so, Talhand thought of how he could be helpful to Godbert. How he would make up for his deficiencies and become his right-hand man. The conclusion he reached was magic. Especially, water and wind magic which the dwarves considered worthless. The previous Or God was a god-class earth mage, and using the stone he created, produced a legendary sword. But it's also said that the reason he was able to create such an amazing sword was because of the water and wind talents of the elves. Blacksmithing is done with more than just earth and fire. To grow fire, you need wind. To cool steel, you need water. It's not an incorrect philosophy, but the adults of the village refuse to acknowledge it. Tradition and formality have prevented previous generations of dwarves from excelling at wind and water magic. They would give all kinds of reasons to prevent Talhand from learning wind and water magic. In actual fact, Talhand was far better at earth magic than wind or water. But Godbert had said, I think it's a great idea. Those adults' heads are too hard. Those words gave Talhand determination and further flared his admiration of magic. And so Talhand separated from the norm. And because of that, he became an object of scorn among some of his siblings. According to them, any dwarf who couldn't work a forge, couldn't be considered a man. Page 401-580. And magic should only be used to loosen bedrock, anything used in smithing should be birthed by nature. And under their contempt, Talhand slowly advanced his studies. It was all for the sake of Godbert. When he became the new Or God, he would definitely need Talhand's strength. That's what he believed. Even when they criticized him, ostracized him, and he became known as an eccentric madman, he continued to believe. And then the day arrived. The day Godbert became the Or God. In accordance with the succession ritual, the Or God must craft 5 swords. And for each sword he creates, he selects those he can most rely on. The Or God himself selects his wife and friends, those who will help him lead the village in the future. Talhand, of course, nominated himself. He'd been training himself for this day. But to his surprise, Godbert didn't select him. He selected those in the village who possessed skill and his lover. And that was fine. But his last selection was one who had berated Talhand as a lunatic, a stubborn old man. Talhand objected. As if I could stand such foolishness, I worked this hard for you. He said. But Godbert replied. Can you make an actual sword? And of course Talhand answered. Of course I can, give me a chance. Page 402-580. Godbert gave a bitter look, but he consented. The stubborn old man and Talhand. They would both forge a sword in competition. And to assure impartiality, Godbert proclaimed that only those he deemed worthy were to participate. They gathered from all around to join. Talhand was baffled. He had trained his water and wind magic for this moment. But since childhood, he had done very little smithing. He could count the number of times he made a sword on his hand. He was at a massive disadvantage. Wait. I wanted to help you make swords. And to his plea. Someone who can't make their own sword, couldn't possibly understand my design. Those who don't understand can't assist me. He was denied. He didn't understand. He thought there was nobody who could understand Godbert better than himself. So why? And so still confused, he dueled with no plan. And lost. And so with eyes drilling holes in his back, he left the scene. The next day, during the succession ceremony, Talhand left the village. Page 403-580. Part 2. After that, Talhand continued traveling as an adventurer. He was almost always alone. After the incident with Godbert, he could no longer bring himself to trust people. After being ostracized for so long, he had no idea how to interact with others. And his sexual inclination didn't help with that. His smithery was at the base level a dwarf should have, but the magic that he had spent most of his time on was only at a reasonable level. It only went as far as reasonable. So he clad himself in armor and had no choice but to resign himself to something of a magic knight role. But he still didn't think being a solo adventurer was that difficult of a task. When Talhand was raised to be rank, a certain person took notice of him. Ellen Elise Dragon Road. At first, she had her eyes on his body. She felt like eating up a dwarven youth. But with Talhand's sexuality, he had no interest in her. And no amount of seduction could change that. And when he finally got tired of her advances, he told her he was gay. Ellen Elise stared at him mouth agape and proceeded to laugh. Talhand wasn't too pleased with that. But he knew he would be able to part ways with the lascivious elf. But Ellen Elise never left him. He had no idea why. Maybe she thought she could stay out of trouble by following him around.
Yeah.
Page 404,
she ain't
580.
leaving that easily.
After that, the two of them teamed up quite a number of times. The abilities of the fast warrior Elise and the heavily armored mage Talhand meshed well together. He still found her irritating, but for some odd reason, it wasn't an uncomfortable sensation. Maybe because her common sense was bound by strict rules. Although neither of them talked about forming an official party. But the appearance of a single boy changed that. Paul Grere. He managed to bring together the scattered Elise, Talhand, Jisoo, and Ghislaine and form a party. The Black Wolf's Fang. Their combination caused quite a stir, but that's a story for another time. The members of Black Wolf's Fang were all those ejected from their own societies. And although none of them matched with Talhand, they were all faithful to their desires. Paul was especially creative in his wild thoughts. When he heard of Talhand's preferences, he simply laughed it off and exclaimed, "So I get the women, Elise gets the men, and if you take whoever's left, nobody gets wasted." Paul was an easy-to-understand kid and his every action would leave you wanting to sigh. Although it didn't seem as if he acted without restraint. He possessed some amount of common sense. Even when he was publicly labeled a playboy, he continued to live how he wanted as if he couldn't care less. Paul's way of life opened Talhand's eyes. Paul's actions gave the Black Wolf's Fang quite the bad reputation, but it was fun nonetheless. Whenever Paul did something befitting of his name, he would give a hearty dwarven laugh. Talhand's feelings for Paul, while similar to love, were decidedly different. Page 405, 580. It was most likely faith. For the first time in his life, he had companions he could trust. But that trust was broken. Zenith joining the party had destroyed his reliance on them. Paul, who had run around uninhibited until now, began to act with common sense to conform with what Zenith expected. You could consider it Paul growing as a person. But Paul made one mistake right at the end. The upheaval caused by Paul's marriage to Zenith left a scar on each of the members' hearts. In hindsight, it may have only been a small thing. But it resolved Talhand to never join another party again. After that, Talhand continued on alone, and before long, the Phyto Annihilation event occurred. He was reunited with Elise, met Roxy, and together with the two of them, his aversion towards groups diminished. But his sentiment didn't extend to Paul. He met back up with Paul on his return from the Magic Continent. And the man he met, was no longer the unruly child he once knew. He was a man, a father, desperately searching for his family. Talhand knew he had changed, that he had grown up. He first met Paul's son in the Bigorito continent. Rudius Grere. He had assumed he would be some lazy arrogant brat just like his father, but he was a surprisingly dependable kid. But seeing how Paul had matured it wasn't all that strange. Paul and Rudius. Seeing the two of them caused Talhand's chest to tighten. He didn't know why. Page 406, 580. And then Paul died. It was too quick of an end. He received quite the shock. But seeing the far greater impact it had on Rudius, he was hesitant to let it show. So he drank his sorrows away as calm as he always was. After that he left the Bigorito continent and met Paul's son's family. The son of the flagrant womanizer Paul, had actually started his own family. So after erecting a grave for Paul and having a drink in his honor, he left Sharia on a journey. It was then that something inside Talhand was over. Something that had been with him since he became an adventurer. Page 407, 580. Part 3. One day, in his emptiness, a thought came to Talhand. That he should learn to blacksmith. He couldn't tell why he thought that. But throughout his journey towards the Azura Kingdom, he took up jobs in smithies alongside his work as an adventurer as training. Because of Jisoo's gambling, he had lost most of his fortune. And to earn a little more money, when he reached the Militis continent, he took a break from his travels. He started smithing with all of his magic at his disposal. Fire, earth, water, and wind. He made swords, he made gauntlets, he made shields, he made swords, he made armor,
forget what
he made helmets,
happened.
and he made swords.
Basically,
And through that, he somehow began to...
So basically, Rudius and the Gain are taking a vacation at the dwarf place, and Rudius wants to speak with the Ore God. He's not getting a chance to. He asks Talhand to introduce him. He doesn't seem like he's going to, and now we're talking about Talhand's backstory and how Godbard, the Ore God, is like weird and stuff towards Talhand. They have a weird situation going on, and now he's just like telling his entire backstory as an adventurer. Yeah, that's basically what's happening.
Understand what Godbard had said to him all those years ago. Some things just can't be conveyed through words. The tempo, the timing, the force, he began to get a feel for all these things. His skill rapidly increased. The intricacies of Godbard's forgery were burning in his mind. And his knowledge from his time as an adventurer about what kinds of equipment outperformed others played a big part. The way he used magic was far from that his village taught. Eventually, people who would buy his wares appeared. The Rudo mercenaries. Because he was acquainted with Rudius, that branch became his sponsor. And because of that, eventually he was able to set up his own shop. Page 408, 580. But, as always, his actions didn't have any purpose to himself. His part-time adventures, playing teacher to apprentices, none of it had any meaning. What finally changed that was when Rudius brought his entire family over from Sharia. Paul's son could stand on the same level as the Latria house. When he saw that, he knew. He finally understood. That he had to return to his village. That he had to overturn the decision on that day. That's why he was smithying. Page 409, 580. Part 4. After getting the rod of black rock from Rudius, Talhand returned to his store. He had always thought that if he had the ability, that was the kind of stone he would make. What was once a dream, was now possible through all the training he had put himself through. The first step was to powderize the rock from Rudius with hammer and magic. Then mix in iron sand and heat it. And using earth and wind magic to achieve temperatures unimaginable with a conventional furnace, raise the heat. Both the Shingane and the Tamahagane one would be made of Rudius's rock and the iron sand. The ratio would be different, but the basic process the same. He could have used red dragon scales or hydra bones to produce an even stronger sword, but Talhand wouldn't use any of that. There wouldn't be any point. He began to slowly forge the sword, and after an entire night without rest, he began the tempering process. Slowly but surely, he poured the epitome of his magic and willpower into the sword. The result, a single blade. It was a hard black sword. It had no special decorations and no special effects. Page 410-580. But Talhand was satisfied. He made a scabbard, wrapped it in a first-class cloth, and placed it on his back. After putting the remaining black rocks in his bag, he set off from Militis. His destination, the dwarf village. Page 411-580. Part 5. Even after so long, nothing had changed about the dwarf village. The village was built from stone at the base of a cliff. The sound of hammering iron could be heard even through its thick stone walls. Talhand made it through the entrance without much difficulty. He was no longer part of the village, but he was still a dwarf. Dwarves regularly left and entered the village, so the watch wasn't particularly mindful. In the side of the cliff there was a huge hole, and out of it came a system of pulleys. Half-naked men drenched in sweat carried coal and ore out from the mine, and the women brought massive sacks of steamed potatoes on both shoulders to the rest stop near the outside. Talhand felt a sense of nostalgia at the sight. As if time had been frozen from the moment he left the village. The only thing that had changed was the number of people he didn't recognize. Although he drew some quizzical gazes walking about, the amount that looked at him with disdain were few. Most of them didn't know him or didn't think anything of him. Talhand didn't let any of that bother him and headed straight for the patriarch's residence. He only had one aim. It's been some time, Clifftop, what did you come here for? But of course, there were those that knew him. Standing in his way was one of his brothers. The man who had laughed at Talhand all those years ago and was chosen as the confidant of the Ore-God. Page 412-580. I've come to see the Ore-God. Know your place, as if he would meet with one such as yourself. Talhand said nothing and removed the sword from his back. He unfastened the cloth, and the instant he removed the sword from its scabbard, the man was shocked breathless. Because underneath was a jet black sword blade. So dark it was as if it would absorb all light, but it wasn't eerie, instead it possessed a kind of enlightening arrogance. It was a thing of beauty. Just what is this? I forged it? Impossible. In dwarven smithing, swords showed everything. An excellent dwarf could produce an excellent sword. Therefore, he couldn't believe that it was something Talhand created. I am here to present. The Ore-God is renowned throughout the world as the greatest blacksmith and is the pride of the dwarven race. And as such, whenever a fellow blacksmith produces a work to a degree of quality, he has an obligation to inspect it. Of course, anything not up to standard would immediately be turned away by any inspecting dwarves. And the man in front of him was doing just that. He didn't like Talhand. Page 413-580. But swords didn't lie. The black sword in front of him possessed no special features and wasn't crafted with any special techniques.
I swear,
but
if you
was
say
hard.
who takes
Extremely
the black
hard.
sword,
No
I'm
half-hearted
gonna
battle could
be...
damage it. That made it an excellent blade. Any who calls himself a dwarf couldn't lie about this sword. I give you permission. You may proceed, Talhand Clifftop. I give my thanks, Dotol Flamesteel. Talhand recalled his old brother's name, bowed his head and led his sword. On his path to the Ore-God, Talhand encountered the same thing many times. But when they saw the sword, none barred his path. Page 414-580. Part 6. The memories of the esteemed Ore-God Godbird regarding Talhand had somewhat faded. It was only natural. Many years had passed since Talhand had left the village.
Yeah, I gotta use the restroom. I'll be back. Idle screen. Is this the right one?
Lost and broken, afraid of changing the way of life. In this blurred view, one stumble to their knees and down they go. Don't let them do it like that. You must know that all this that made you weak. So wake up from those sleep. Don't refuse to be free. Let go.
I'm back. You're late? It's fine. It's a VOD. Anyway, since you missed the hot spring, it's a whatever. This entire book has been whatever. Here's the Roxy figure. It's nice. It's cool. It's pretty chill. Pretty chill. Yeah. Was it worth $200? Probably not. But I don't care. I have it. It's cool. And I already broke it because one of the pegs is now sticking to the leg. But because it like pierced through the stand. The flimsy plastic stand is not that great. It's not fun, but yeah. Well, whatever. It's fine. Put that next to my giant Mushoku Tensei light novel collection, and then we're good. No, chilling. Got a whole other row here. Well, got volumes 1 through 19. Volume 20 is coming out in January. Yeah, January. So won't be getting that for a while. Yeah. Let's continue with Talhand giving the Ore God a really cool looking sword.
You've grown old, Talhand. Speak for yourself. I thought you would have died in the middle of nowhere a long time ago. I had intended to. The two exchanged only a short greeting. Off to Godbert's side was his wife and right-hand man. With the return of the village's biggest madman, their vigilance was plain to see. But there was no such thing between Talhand and Godbert. Talhand had decided to face Godbert with a calm heart. But Godbert didn't have any intention to talk. There was so many things that could be said. About his experiences outside the village. But words were unnecessary. Talhand wordlessly took out the sword. Godbert, still silently, removed it from its scabbard and marveled at the blade. Who? Godbert's response was overflowing with admiration. Page 415-580. He brought the sword up to his face to study. This blade holds great faith. There is neither wavering nor naivete, but the inexaprance can be spotted. Given the same materials and construction, I could craft a better blade. Talhand smiled. Of course he was happy. No matter how hard Talhand had worked at smithing in these last few years, he couldn't catch up to the Ore God who had been diligently studying for over 100 years. That much was obvious. Haha. What's so funny? But that's not why. That wasn't why at all. So you want to know the materials and construction? Of course. It's a curious sword. Explaining the materials and construction behind presented swords was not a rare occurrence. To place a reason on why swords are ever even presented, it would be to leave behind a method of creation. What materials were used, how it was made and the thought behind it? There are many who want to leave behind such things in history. The base material was a rock created through earth magic. It was ground up and mixed with iron sand. And I melted it with a combination of fire and wind magic. After that, I forged and tempered it like any other sword and cooled it with water magic. A stone made from earth magic. Those words caused Godbert to suddenly remember something. Page 416-580. He had heard that method before. Years ago, a crazy friend had told him about it over and over. Is this payback? No, I simply thought to settle our score. Did you think that, once I saw this sword, I'd tell you to come back? No, you've already told me what I wanted to hear. That's more than enough. That Godbert could create a better sword. With that alone, he was satisfied. He could feel a weight lifted off his shoulders. Of course, with the same materials, and the same method, he could create a better sword. But without magic, you wouldn't be able to melt or break the stone, and no normal water could be used to cool it at that temperature. And so, without someone able to use such magic to a sufficient level. Although, the genius in front of him, even without Talhand's method, could probably come up with some way to skillfully refine the stone. So, this stone, did you craft it yourself? No, the son of an old friend created it for me. He pulled out the 3 rods of rock from his backpack and lined them up in front of Godbert. Godbert picked up one of the rocks and felt its weight. He tried to break it in half to get a look at the cross-section, and when he couldn't do that, he pulled out a hammer and attempted to smash it, but couldn't even manage a dent. He was baffled at the hardness of the rod. He suddenly got excited at the thought of using the rock to make something. A smile floated to his face. Talhand nodded, satisfied with the reaction. Page 417-580. Godbert was still as easy to read as he was in his childhood. Several days from now the one who made those will be coming to request an audience. Would you be willing to meet with him? Talhand sounded somewhat fond speaking of Rudius. He had now achieved his goal. He had delivered his message. Now all he had to do was wait for the man who gave him his task. He might look somewhat unreliable, and he'll probably bring with him some unreasonable request. But he's a man with guts. You won't lose anything meeting him. I'll swear it on that sword. Godbert eyed the sword and stones. His wife and confidant by his side seemed to have their own thoughts but decided against voicing them. Talhand was far beyond their expectations. Probably partially due to the magician that made the stones. Their curiosity was piqued. Fine then. His name. Rudius Rere. Understood. Godbert etched that name into his mind. Once Talhand was sure of it, he stood up. It was only a spoken promise, but that was more than enough. Godbert wasn't one to break his promises. Page 418-580. Once, Talhand may not have thought that way, but what he did back then, was no broken promise. Only Talhand's inexperience. You're leaving. Yes. After your display, nobody would have any complaints with you staying. I have a shop in Militis. I'll probably be there as long as I live. With those parting words, Talhand left the Orgod's residence. While he had been inside, it had already been surrounded by his one siblings. Their sharp gazes not hiding their desire to scrutinize him. Excuse me, but I'm going through. They opened a path where he walked. And among those eyes filled with bewilderment and scorn, Talhand headed for the exit. Nobody called back to him. Nobody chased after him. But Talhand's steps were light and his heart was clear. The curse had finally been undone. The fact that the Orgod traded his loyalty to the Dragon God for a large amount of rocks was a story for another time. Page 419-580. The God residing in the Holy Land of Sword. Chapter 20 Sword God, Jin Brits. Chapter 21, In the Meantime. Chapter 22, Nina Farian Zero. Page.
So we're skipping those 3 chapters and going right into the big stuff. Huh. The moment Aisha stopped being a maid.
Page 366-500.
Fuck. I messed up. Okay. I don't know if I'm happy that that is skip or not. I don't know. Well, I don't care. Not sure why the skip. Page 420 Keck, yeah. Keck. I don't know. Well, we'll just when this video posts, just for the record, just comment if you want to see this if you want to see me read the Sword God chapter, the In the Meantime chapter, and the Nina chapter. But right now, yes, you want me to read it? Yes, yes. This guy doesn't know how much I've suffered to go through most of these. He got bored translating it? Nah, fair enough. Anyway, this is how the Aisha chapters start, right? So they're not skipping the Aisha chapters, correct? This is how it starts. Talks about ours. This is how it starts. Just making sure. All right. Well, we are 72% of the way through redundancy. We have around 28% left. We went through 22% today, and I have school tomorrow. So, I gotta bring this back to the way it used to be. So, hold up. Fill the screen, please. I said fill the screen, transform, fit to screen, boom. And then U, by, remove, yes, remove that. you by, yeah, remove. All right. I personally like the Geno arc. Same. All right. Well, we'll get there when we get there, I guess. Right now, I'm calling it a day. This is the end of the stream. It was fun. We got this Roxy figure done. Broke it, but you know, it's fine. Not noticeable. It's fine. The base is broken. So like, see a peg sticking out there? That's because it poked through the fucking stand. That's fun. And the other one on that side, there's two on that side. The other one is stuck in the foot. That's fun. The other one's perfectly fine. So, yay about that. Yay. And yeah, that's about it. Overall, these chapters were extremely boring. I will never read them again, and I do not look forward to the rest of Redundancy. Thank God. It got pretty tiring in the middle of it, and I almost fell asleep. Yeah, so did I. Fucking hell, dude. This thing is garbage. Anyone who likes Redundancy, or like these chapters of Redundancy, is fucking weird. Yeah. I won't be posting Chainsaw Man review this next week cuz I got like two finals on the upcoming Wednesday. I got like two finals on the upcoming Wednesday and I got like projects to do during the weekend, so yeah. It's not looking good for me this next week, but the figure delivered, I thought I might as well stream. This is all you're gonna see from me till my semester's over, probably. So yeah, I got all my finals next week. Yeah, I'm supposed to have all my finals next week, but one of my professors wasn't able to do finals next week, so he pushed it to this week. And I have a project for that class due on Sunday, so yay. That's yay. So happy. All right. Well, that's it. I'm pretty sure like we'll get to this next chapter soon. It's not going to be a 2-month break. I'll try to push through. I really want to do stuff for this channel, but too busy. Yep. So, anyway, that's it. See you guys.